You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Boy, welcome to this place. We always talk about this place. Race to the rum shop, race to the man, racing to get some ways. There's an island down in the south by the Orinoco Mountain. Funk and fire, doom and desire. What place I'm talking about? Talking about Trinidad. We have the goods and the bad. Welcome to Trinidad, where half the country mad. Talking about the Bacchanal, that's the way we flow. Shots will fire, waves will tell when we hear a soul coming soon. If you come by plane with a lie, or by a boat, the coast guard in the sea. But this ain't no mama guy, this is the land of the free is free. So come on down, join the Lego. This is lawless, not Trinity. So bend back and start the bubble. All of we is one family. Oh darling, talking about Trinidad. We have the goods and the bad. Welcome to Trinidad, where half the country man. Talking about the Bacchanal, that's the way we flow. Shots will fire, waves will tell when we hear a soul coming through. Present in his partners, we have the own reality. Down here, 1 and 1 could be 11. That's the culture you see. So hold on for the ride of your life. Who knows what's around the bend? And if you're feeling some hesitation, remember shine is a promise friend. Hold on, talking about Trinidad, we have the goods and the bad. Talking about Trinidad, where half the country man. Talking about the Bacchanal, that's the way we go. Shots will fire, waves will tell when we hear a soul coming through.
Yes, 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 yes. Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, folks, it's In the Village with the Dark Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Let me quickly bring in another 1/3 of the Dark Triplet, no other than the Phantom boy. Phantom, you inside.
How you doing, brother?
Everything is fantabulous, man. We already have Comrade Ancel Roget already sitting in the background waiting for us.
What?
The man said, "Boy, I'm coming into the village in the United States village. But I come in early o'clock, boy, early o'clock." He ain't joking tonight.
Deeply appreciate them coming.
Yeah, man, he inside already, man. He wasting no time, you know. I mean, let me just do some superlatives here before we get. Hey, Gary, hear this now. Fish sticks coming at 1:15 p.m. today. The man break the record, you know. You know, I have to give you credit, Fish sticks, boy. Full credit to you, boy. Let me just say a quick hello to Keisha, Rose, Lana.
Come back with that. Who break the record?
Fish stick, boy. The man was in 1:18 p.m. today in the village, boy.
What?
Early o'clock, boy. Keisha, welcome. Fish sticks, welcome. Lana, welcome. Rose, welcome. Nutscake, you inside. Nadia, you inside. Erica John, good evening, Erica. All right, folks, we ain't gonna waste no time, man. Let's bring in our guest for the night. No other than Mr. the President and General of the OWT, Mr. Ancel Roget. So, welcome.
OWTU.
So, you are in the village with, our program is called In the Village with the Dark Triplets, but we only have 2/3 of us here tonight. So the D is normally Diana. She's considered to be the storm. She's away in England. A is myself. I am Anselm. They call me the Flash or Wall Street. G is considered to be Gary. Gary is considered to be Phantom. And we have another 4 gentlemen who join us occasionally. You know, his name is Look up again. Tommy, and Tommy is considered to be the outside child, and the ladies in the chat call him the love child. Mr. Roget, how do you want me to address you, sir?
President General will be fine. Or PG.
President
or PG.
PG.
Yeah.
All right, PG will be fine. And first of all, we want to thank you so very kindly, for giving us the opportunity to have a chat with you. And PG, this chat is all encompassing. We when we come into the village, we just keep it real in the village. You understand? So we don't hold no bars, or we don't try to censor people or anything like that.
Okay.
By the way, I myself, I am a born Trinidadian. I came from Schumacher, Claventil. Yes. Building one apartment, 2-1. So I come from the belly of the beast in Trinidad and Tobago, so to speak. And I've been in this country 44 years now. So I just a little bit of my Gary's also living here in New Jersey too. He's an activist too as well. And we do a lot of things together here in New Jersey. So PG, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm fine, thank you. Given the current situation, every day, everything has to be put in context. So given the current situation here, well, worldwide, but in particular in Trinidad and Tobago, I'm fine. And if you permit me, what should I call you, Wall Street?
Well, Wall Street is fine. Wall Street is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to share some thoughts with you all and the diaspora outside there as to not just the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, but the Joint Trade Union Movement, an organization which I have the pride, honor, and privilege at this time to lead. And that is an organization of the majority of trade unions in the country, some 18 trade unions across all of the sectors, the banking financial sector, the energy sector, the manufacturing sector, and so on, the fuel distribution, electricity, across basically the multi-sector representation of workers who work there. But first off, before we go, permit me to thank Almighty God for sparing our lives for yet another day, that we are able to have this conversation in the land of the living is only through the mercy and the blessings of Almighty God. And that all of the blessings that He would have bestowed upon us worldwide and continue, of course, to bestow on the OWTU, we are very thankful for that. We in the OWTU, we are a praying union. And on another occasion, some of the things that you know about my union, you being a born Trinidadian or Trinbagonian, I can facilitate you with some of the richness of the history of the trade union movement, and in particular, the Oilfields Workers Trade Union. And so there's where I would want to start expressing my concern this afternoon, if I'm allowed to take it from here.
No, I mean, go ahead. We also have a few questions for you as well, and there are people in the chat who have some questions for you as well. But you can continue, PG.
Yes. Well, thank you very much once again, and for you and the other hosts of this very important program.
One thing, sir, is that we want you to be totally free to speak.
Yeah.
As what you think is right. And so please, yes, the door is open, please.
And thanks again for that, because it is an opportunity. The OWTU always grab us being an independent trade union, speaking our mind, however or wherever it falls, and so on, and whatever the consequences of that is. And I think that we would want to, when I was invited, and through our Chief Education and Research Officer, he made the link. We thought that we should embrace this opportunity. Here you have concerned citizens, well, born and bred Trinidadians outside of the country expressing concern in what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore we should use the opportunity to let them hear our voice, and that is why I'm thanking you again. Well, let me start by saying emphatically that as far as we are concerned, a concern that is shared by a significant number of people in the country, that the Republic the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is in a state of deep crisis. And I say so not lightly. Deep crisis insofar as the body political leadership is concerned, deep crisis insofar as the economy is concerned, deep crisis insofar as the social structures are concerned. And therefore, political, economic, and social crisis, that is I sum up Trinidad and Tobago as being described as that at this moment. And let me also say that crisis was not brought on by the pandemic. I want to be emphatic about that. The problems we are facing in Trinidad and Tobago has been exacerbated by the pandemic, but it is not the creation of the pandemic. And therefore, long before COVID-19 hit the shores of our country, all of the telltale signs, all of the red flags, all of the issues were affecting Trinbagonians. So Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say that we are also in a state of very, very deep disappointment. Deep disappointment because we thought that we would have moved on and moved away from a construct where those who ask for the job to govern the country and where they condemn what was occurring before and having been given the job to take care of the country and to improve the quality of lives of the citizens, they have fallen down on that job for quite a while.
So, Mr. Roget, are you saying that you are unhappy with the current government? Are you saying the OWTU?
Well, that's an understatement. It's the height of an understatement that we are deeply disappointed. We are unhappy with the current number of turns of events. Let me sum it up for you. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is a government that represents 1% of the citizenry of this country. And why do I say that? It is because all of their policies, all of the evidence points to one set of people benefiting under this PNM government. And I like to describe it because we are with a PNM government right now. So the 99% of the citizens in this country cannot today, as we speak, say that their lives have been improved as a result of the leadership of this country being taken over by the PNM. Let me go further to ask a question, perhaps rhetorically, that I am certain that when asked the question, no citizen who wants to be honest can say that his or her life has been improved over the last 6 years. In other words, the lives of the citizens of this country, it did not even stay the same. It deteriorated. So that, what is the state of the country? We have massive job losses, problems in the energy sector, problems with our public utilities and so on. But all of those things come from a lack of proper planning, a lack of proper foresight, a lack of proper wanting the best for the people. And therefore, I want to tell the world that this is not what was envisaged for Trinidad and Tobago when Dr. Eric William would have taken this country into independence. This is not the type of country that was envisaged then. And so what we are seeing here is a level of damn social injustice and so on. And those at the level at the lowest ebb of the economic ladder, they are destined to stay there. And we have no more middle class in this society. That has gone, dissipated. And what we have now is super rich, and we are heading to have the masses being extremely poor. And it is as though it is wrong to be as ordinary citizen. It is wrong as though it is wrong in the eyes of the government for people to climb the economic ladder. Ordinary black people in Trinidad and Tobago, like it is wrongful in the eyes of Dr. Rowley and his government for them to have progressive jobs and so on, well-paying jobs so that they can take care of their families, move them out of that lower strata into a higher level of progressiveness where we can be better off. That in the eyes of Dr. Rowley and his PNM, this current PNM government, and let me make a distinction, this current PNM government is different. They are different people, they are different, and sometimes we wonder, where did they come from? And where
How are they different? How are they different?
They are different because I already espoused this philosophy that Dr. William wanted for this country. So Dr. William wanted to raise the social strata. He wanted the country to be independent economically. He wanted to establish economic independence through state enterprises and so on. This PNM want to reverse all of that so that you have this shutting down of a refinery, a symbol of economic independence if there was ever one. And you have now a dependence now on fuel coming from elsewhere, putting hardship on all of us in the country. You have the preparation of a budget that is going to choke blood out of stone of the citizens at a time when they can least afford. And who are the people that are going to suffer most in this country? You ask them if there's any policy or any thinking about raising the standard of living of those who are the lowest end. And there's not. There's none. Theirs is the intention to have everybody CPEPized, and I'm not now despising the CPEP workers. Our position for the CPEP workers is that they should raise to their level of remuneration, and their standard of living should be elevated to the other sectors, not the other sectors downgraded to them. So that is the type of Trinidad and Tobago that Dr. Rowley sees. Closure of the steel plant, closure of the refinery, closure of the petrochemical plants, closure of manufacturing. This is what we're experiencing in Trinidad and Tobago. And nobody, the strongest PNM supporter, can dispute those facts. There are no plans to really grow the economy, no new revenue stream. The government simply placed all of that burden on the backs and shoulders of who? The 99% of us, the masses. So they will tax you more and tax you more and tax you more. That's the three plans they have for raising revenue.
No, Mr. Roget, PG, you said, right? I think this is a somewhat broad statement, you know. You said no citizens can say that their lives have improved, right? Isn't that somewhat of a broad statement to say no citizens instead of some citizens can say that their lives have not been improved?
Well, that's true. The 1% can say that their lives have been improved. That's so very true. And when we make these statements, we make it against the background of what we see on the ground, what we feel on the ground. You have over 100,000 persons at home now, right now, and counting. Their lives have not been improved. They are without a job since PNM came into office, and the number is counting. And I walk the street from Port of Spain to Cedros to across Trinidad and Tobago. And the people who I'm talking about, they tell me, comrade, and can I call you comrade? They tell me, comrade. Anybody who are for Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago's development, to me is a comrade. And therefore, those persons tell us, comrade, that, hey, listen, we suffering. We are suffering, and that is the masses. Of course, you have here and there, you would have people who would eat or catch a bone that fall off the plate of the those persons who are corruptly gobbling. But generally, the masses are suffering in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's not a good report. It's not a nice report for me to make, but it's a factual report. So you would close down a refinery because what? That is the start of a monumental plan to get rid of what? The trade union movement. Because the trade union movement is exercising a level of independence, that which we always exercise, that which if you pay attention to, you will be on the road to recovery and so on. So instead of inclusion, it's exclusion. So when we say, for instance, to Dr. Rowley, listen, your plans for the economy is wrong. We are talking about a different plan where you can let all of those persons, the 1%, let them invest in the economy. All those persons who want government contract and so on and bank their money outside of the country, let them bring it back here in hard times and let them put into economic activity so that people can go to work and so on. Incentivize them to do that. All they want to do is to extract the foreign exchange, bank it in foreign banks. That's still happening, bank it in foreign banks and so on, and sap out of the country. We say no. Mobilize the credit union movement, all of the people's organization, the local banks and so on. Let them invest in Trinidad and Tobago's economy, and let's get economic activity rolling. But no.
So Mr. Roger, here's a question for you, right? We always have questions for the chat. So person asks, why is Petrotrin being sold to foreign investors and not local investors?
Well, is that a rhetorical question? Because really, let me just say, it's unfortunate that that is the road that the government has taken in the face of what we would have done. Let me explain something here. The union would have gone out and would have invested enormous resources, financial resources, to put together a comprehensive world-class team that would have proven to the world that we can operate the refinery that's after the closure. Now, mind you, we were against the closure, and we are still, that's a wrong decision. And some other time, we will talk about that. But the refinery haven't been closed. The union did not just fold its arm and wonder what happens next. When they put it up for sale and they offered the union, we accepted the offer. We said, but no, you want to set us up? But no, we said, no. Let's look at this thing differently. We accept the offer. And when we accepted the offer, it was not a fly-by-night acceptance. We would have put together, through our experience with all of those international operators and so on, a comprehensive team, put together a bid, which bid won some 76 other competitors. You think about that. This is a proud moment for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That here you have a union, a local union, would have put together a bid for an asset in the country on behalf of the people and would have beat out some 76 other international players, big players, because of the value that we put on those assets. And the value we put on those assets, comrade, is not just for oil and gas and to operate the refinery, is that the people must own something. That they have the 1% owning almost the whole country. Here you have an opportunity for the people to own something. And if Dr. Rowley and the PNM was serious, they would have ensured that we, the union, on behalf of the people, own something, that ordinary black people, ordinary people on the ground, own something. Indians and Africans, ordinary people, own something in Trinidad and Tobago, and try to strike a balance. Instead, what they try to do is to set us up, whittle down our resources, and then say, well, look, all you can make, all you don't have no money, and then go back out now to get international people to own those assets. And that's where we are. So you see the vision of these people. You might very well find that the 1%, and we're looking on very, very closely, the 1% have some connection or benefit with those international players who eventually will own the refinery. We in the OWTU, may I say, we in the OWTU would have struggled for national ownership of those assets, saying that Texaco and the multinationals operated those assets in the interest of the multinationals, and therefore the people were not getting enough out of it. And we were struggling, and when Dr. Williams agreed and they purchased the refinery and the oil industry in this country, it was on the basis that the people should benefit from it. What is happening now, comrade, is that this PNM, this different construct of a PNM, is putting back in the hands of the multinationals all of those assets for which the people would have struggled, for which Williams would have wanted something different for Trinidad. It's a different Trinidad, and if you come to Trinidad now, you might meet the roof on the ground and the post in the air, because it's a different Trinidad and Tobago operating here under this fella they call.
So PG, let me ask this question: is it that the winning of the bid was politically motivated at that point in time?
Well, we had the best proposal. So there was really no choice. But what they saw is an opportunity to because it was around local government election time. So
that's
they saw
why I asked the question. That's why I asked the question.
So they saw that. But we saw an opportunity having the best proposal because we have the workers with all of the experience. We have of course, the knowledge and so on. We have the international operators and so on, and all of those members of the consortium. And we also have, because those persons saw the type of proposal that we had, the banks were interested in working with us. You know what they did? These people did? While we were discussing the whole issue of this of financing this refinery, they went out and borrow money again, unknowing to us, while we were having those discussions at the table. So it's like you agree that you're going to buy your partner house, your uncle, whoever it is house, and while you're discussing, okay, you're going to the bank and so on, and the bank say, okay, well, we will finance it. But while you're doing that, he going out and he mortgaging it even more and not telling you. When the bank now is finally ready to execute, they can't execute because they realize this property tie up more than anything else, more than the Sunday crowd. And that is what we are faced with. We came to them telling them, look, listen, we are willing to pay X amount, $700 million US for the refinery. They say, no, election time. They say, no. No, don't pay up front. You can what? You can pay over a period of 13 years. First 3 years, no moratorium. You pay after the fourth year, you start to pay, and so on. Let's just work that out. What you would pay, what the installment, and so on. Of course, if you getting an offer like that, is the government making that offer? Of course, if you get an offer like that, you now will recognize that you now have breathing space and that you can expend more money on the assets to refurbish and so on, and to bring this thing up to world standard. So you're impressed on an offer like that because you're in good faith. But lo and behold, as we attempt to execute, the bank say, but no, somebody have a hold on these assets. The bondholders, there's a hold on the assets, and therefore this thing really you can't have that arrangement, And when we approach them with that, say, well, listen, you all didn't tell us that you have the banks, international banks have a hold on these assets. You know what they said? They said, that's not a problem. We will fix that. We will get them to release it. We say, okay, all right, well, we're working with you. It turns out that they could not get it released. Here you had now, and I want to explain this good to you so that you will understand, because they are pushing that, the union don't have any money. Here you had the union now telling their original financiers, hey, listen, thank you very much, because what we don't need to put money out up front. We have a different type of configuration of an offer. One where we will pay down the road and so on for 13 years and so on. So we will use less finances now to focus on rebuilding these assets. That deal could not go through because of the thing was mortgage. So your grandfather tell you, listen, I'm going to transfer the house to you and you will continue to pay. When you go to the bank say, no, that kind of arrangement can't work. So if he really want to give you it, what he will do now is to work with you to ensure that you raise the capital. So we had very little time now when that happened to go back out now and to look for capital inside of a pandemic situation, inside of a situation where all of the lending institutions now are being pressured not to get involved in refinery operations and so on because of clean fuel and so on, and the whole question of environmental standards and that kind of thing. So they encourage not to get, so it's difficult to get financing. But here's what, we got people interested in us because of the quality of the proposal, and of course because of the location of the assets and so on, located at the tip of South America and so on, so that they saw good business sense in it. but they needed time. The government, having won their election, said, no, we're giving you 15 days and so on. 15 days to raise 500 million US. They as a government can't even raise that in 15 months. They're giving a union 15 days. A union that they say they committed to ensuring that they get that asset. You tell me about these people. Right?
But PG, did the government lose confidence in patriotic energies and technologies, and by extension the OWTU?
No, they couldn't. They couldn't lose interest in confidence in no. Because we start off telling them that we came to pay with our finances, to follow it, to pay 700 million for these assets. They said to us, no, listen, we're giving you a better offer. And it's parliament. I mean, this is an offer that they gave and we accepted. That, listen, we'll take a 3 years moratorium, we'll organize ourselves, get these assets going, and it'll take 10 years to pay. We just have to work out the details of that. That deal was not supported by their financiers, the bondholders, whom they borrowed from to the hilt, who, while we were discussing, they didn't tell us anything. They were still borrowing on the assets. And so the deal just could not go through in that way. After spending many months with back and forth, they're not telling us that. They tell us, no, it will work. We will ensure that they free up these assets. After spending all of that time, they came and they tell us, well, look, you take a month, you take 15 days to get to raise 500 million US. Could you imagine that? Could you just imagine the magnitude of that? Colm Imbo, the Minister of Finance, in a press conference of about 4 months ago, said to a reporter in answer to a question, you think international financing easy to raise? Since last year, we were trying to raise this money to deal with COVID. And the government now get through sometime in I think March, April, or June this year. So he's making the point that as a government, international financing is difficult to raise. But you are asking a union in 15 days, having changed the plan, changed the goalposts, to raise that money and then come back and say, well, they can't raise. They are very deceptive and deceitful bunch of people. And what I'm telling you, comrade, I say that all the time. I say that to them in their face. And they know that. But here's what is going to happen. They have gone back out and they are hell-bent on putting it back in the hands of the multinational. So some international company is going to come and own those assets. And why? Because there's some private arrangement that would be forged. You know the whole thing about kickback. OWTU is not involved in kickback. Perhaps if we had said that we was going to build over Bali's house, we would have favored them. But OWTU is not about that. They're not about that. Yeah?
So PG, so does that mean to say that the proposal to acquire the Patriotic Energies and Technology proposal to acquire Petrogen refineries totally is dead?
Well, it's what they would have. Here's what they did. They're still with this problem with the bondholders. I mean, if they are honest, it's a hard feat to accomplish, but the facts will show that the bondholders still have a hold on those assets. They cannot sell it. So here's what. While they would have offered us a deal to purchase both refinery and the port, they are now selling the refinery or leasing the refinery because they cannot sell it. So the arrangement that they're going forward with now is a lease arrangement because the same problem exists. But why not come clean and say, well, your trade union, you spend all your money and so on. We're going to make this happen. You, having won the bid, but we can't really go through this because these bondholders, they have a hold on the asset. You take the opportunity to take this lease arrangement and so on. And of course, we have our people backing us would spend their money to upgrade the assets because those assets need to be upgraded. You don't shut down a vehicle, just your car, you don't put it out by the road today, and 3 years down the road, go and turn your key and it start. And that's just a vehicle. So you could imagine a refinery with some 23 plants, which needed upgrade when they shut it down. What money is needed to restart that refinery? And I can speak authoritatively on this because I work in the refinery. I can speak authoritatively on Petrotrin because I work offshore also and in the fields. So I know Petrotrin.
So PG, someone says, right, and I hear you talk about people suffering in Trinidad and Tobago, and you talk about the budget, right? Yeah. Someone is asking, what are you doing? What is the OWTU doing for the unemployed oilfield workers who are suffering currently?
Yes. Well, respectfully, I'm not sure what point it came in with the question, because all of what we are talking about with respect to the refinery and so on, that would have done what? Place a whole significant number of jobs back in the hands of the Petrotrin workers and so on, because it's the Petrotrin workers who are with the proficiency and the experience and so on to restart and operate that refinery, and not just the refinery. Here's what was the plan with that: to use the revenue and assets of that to get into downstream operations and so on, so that we can provide jobs. But the government, backed by or instructed by their 1%, shut that down. We are right now putting a plan before them to go back into the fields, and to all of those over some 12,000 wells they have. There are a number of them idle. We are right now, as we speak, putting a proposal before the government to reactivate some of those idle wells, so that we can put people back to work, put those workers back to work, and so on. And let me just say something about that. Now, and I'm being very, very cautious, but I'm going to be explicit about what I'm saying. There was a certain case that was just concluded recently on some issue called fake oil. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The government and the legacy company Petrotrin and Heritage and those companies lose the case. The OWTU, the trade union movement, we knew that they were going to lose the case. Because if you shut down the company, there is no evidence. If you send home all the workers and you scatter them, there is no witness. So they were destined to, and in fact, they lose the case. They wanted to lose that case. This is our opinion. They made one statement that they were going to appeal. That did not happen, because they can't win the case because there is no evidence, there is no witness. And here's what is going to happen now. The people of Trinidad and Tobago, the same masses who are crawling now with this economic yoke of taxation on them, they have to compensate the plaintiff in that matter. They have to compensate the company that won Petrotrin that matter, pay through their nose. So taxpayers are going to pay for the blundering of the government, whether it's purposeful or not. That is going to, in that award, in that judgment, in that agreement, is also to allow for what? 10 years guarantee of Petrotrin's E&P acreages and so on. So access to wells and so on. To produce those wells and sell it back to Heritage. More money, more money, more money. And how many of the Petrotrin workers will benefit from that? None of them. And that's my point. That we are with the experience, we know where a significant number of idle wells not operated located. We know the potential for it and the production that it can generate. And that is what, and I'm glad I'm getting the opportunity to tell you that, and through you, tell the people who are asking the question. And that is what we are going to be putting before them. And if they are serious about putting people back to work, initiate an initiative driven by the union, they will embrace that. So if you could give a 10 years guarantee, the people's asset to a certain person in the country through some kind of questionable arrangement. And if you could give that certain person 100 million in compensation and so on, why can't you put people back to work? The government don't have to spend a cent. We are not asking them to invest money. Our financiers will come and stand with us. We'll go produce those wells. We'll put workers back to work. We will ensure that the electricians, the mechanics, the well operators and so on, we will ensure that all of those E&P operators and workers and so on, we will ensure that it generates a type of a spin-off activity that people will be back to work. But in the face of what they did, what just occurred, I think that the world would see through their biasness if they did not support this proposal. And that, as we speak, we are putting the final touches on that to put that before the government. You know, the producer budget, they spoke about oil production and oil and gas production increase over the next couple of years. Not now, you know. That is going to happen down the road. But who is going to do it? Multinational. Here we have a proposal where local people, indigenous people, will increase indigenous crude and gas for the benefit of the people in the country. And that is where we are located in terms of that, comrade. So they're butching or bungling with the energy sector would have seen a fall in revenue for Trinidad and Tobago. Oil production decline in the country. Oil production, since they reorganized Petrotrin into Heritage and Paria and so on, crude oil production has fallen. What the average citizen has not yet understand, the connection between poor energy performance by the government, loss of revenue, and the fact that they come in to choke you and tax you more, blood out of stone. So when they can't make revenue or increase the revenue, they come to the citizens. Someone said taxing the citizens to raise revenue is like standing in a bucket and trying to lift yourself up. And that is where they are.
So PG, two things. I like the answer that you give with respect to what the OWTU is doing for those former workers that were suffering, because I think you shift the goalpost a little bit there.
No, but he also told the truth in reference to this case, and I'm very happy that he did that.
No, Gary, I get that. But what I wanted to hear from him is what the person asked what the OWTU is doing regarding to those workers that they call it suffering, because you indicated too that people in Trinidad and Tobago suffering. And I think they were being very specific as far as what initiative does the OWT have regarding those past OWT workers who may be suffering now.
That's correct. And I'm happy for the question because we are not just crying over spilled milk and so on, because we could have taken the position upstream and say, well, look, listen, when they shut down the refinery, cost them out and so on. Rightfully so, cost them out and continue to look to unionize members and that kind of thing. Whoever come, we want to just have our members work there. But we grabbed the opportunity. But we thought we were dealing with fair-minded people, honest people, and so on. Or even if they're not fair, but that they want better for the country, and so on. And they want to lift the standard of living of ordinary people, and so on. Black people, Indian and African in the country, we thought that is what they wanted to do. Create a balance between the 1% and the rest of us. But that's not what they're about. But anyway, having gone through that, and gone through the deceitfulness of and let me call him Franklin deceased Khan, Lion Khan, Keith Rowley, Stuart Young.
Obviously.
Yes, those are the people who demonize the Petrotrin workers, tell the country that they're working for too much money and lied on the Petrotrin workers. You're talking about workers who historically would have produced over $100 billion for this economy. My father and relative to Wall Street, I'm sure you know people, or if you check your ancestry in this country, people who would have given their blood, carried pipe and so on, and heavy metals on their backs and so on to build this place. That is the type of opportunity that Dr. Rowley, if he was forward thinking, would have ensured that, hey, listen, let me strike a balance. If 1%, they can't just own everything in the country. Let me make sure that local ownership, and even if you didn't want to give the union, make sure that local ownership, indigenous ownership, take over this thing. But no, that is not his plan at all. His is a different. No, comrade. Not everybody that look like you is for you.
Go ahead, preach.
Yeah, no. I'm very deep with that. I'm very deep with that because that's the deception that is hitting the people here. So not because you're blacker than me mean that you're for me, And that is very deep. That is very.
But Mr. Roger, what I saw too, right, is that this opportunity for what you possibly had there, it would have been personal for the workers there. They invested into themselves, and we have seen that done across the world, where you make your workers a part of the company and getting shares and stuff like that, and their investment is personal, and you get a more productive way of getting things done. So this is something, when I saw that, I was like, wow, yeah, this is something excellent. But then, we see where they hijack the plan and then they switch around things and try to make it look like it's your fault.
Yes.
And I appreciate you taking the time to expose them. So feel free to go ahead.
No, exactly. That's the point, because here's how we were going to broaden that. We were going to, not just the workers there, because the workers accept that, okay, listen, to build back this thing, we're going to come in, we're going to take less and so on, we're going to get shares in the thing, right, fine. But we said, listen, you see the other trade unions and so on? They would be allowed to buy shares in this thing. You see the credit union movement, people's organization, they would be allowed to buy, not the banks and the big business and the 1%, but ordinary people who are now stakeholders will be able to be shareholders in those assets. And that was the vision that we had for this thing. And instead of those people working with us to make sure that, listen, when you drive past and you look at those assets, you feel a part of it, because it is not now Texaco or Amoco. It is patriotic. It is our, and the name patriotic, by the way, it wasn't coined lightly. It was very, very deep, because we thought it was a deep sense of patriotism for the union to take all of its resources and go behind these assets. But what they saw, they say, we will break the union, shut down the company, send home all the workers, there are no members, and so on, make them spend all the money, and then we will move on to where we really wanted to go. But here's the catch-22. We could not, comrade. Some people will say, we should not have. But I am not with regret, because we could not have seen that opportunity and not grasp it with honest hands and minds and so on, and heart. We did that. That they did what they did. Every unfair game has to play over. And the story for Petrotrin is not over as yet. So here's the other chapter that is taking place, that which I just described, where we are now in the ENP now side, where we are seeing they do not have the knowledge, the experience, and the resources, that's heritage, to activate those wells. We have the resources to spend, to invest in those things, to bring production on, then they will get some increased revenue, and the workers will get a share out of that. And that is the proposal that we have. Currently, as we speak, I just concluded a meeting earlier on where we are finalizing that proposal to put before the Minister of Finance. Here, Minister of Finance, you are going to get increased oil production and therefore increased revenue at a time when increased oil prices, the country can benefit more from that. Now, comrades, if they refuse that, I don't think it bears any more explanation at all from the OWTU, because how could they refuse at a time like that? I think I know the answer to that question, but you understand the point I'm making.
Yeah. So PG, I want to ask you a question, right? And you made this statement, right? Do you still believe the opposition leader dealt a fatal blow to the acquisition process of the Petrotrin refinery? Yeah. And that you had indicated that it would not see in light of the day. Do you still believe that?
that they would have, what, you mean the position that they held on it?
Yeah, the opposition leader
Yes.
dealt a fatal blow to the acquisition process of the
yeah,
Petrotrin refinery, and the
yeah,
process did not see light of the day.
yeah. But I think that they would have been very, very foolish and perhaps, I don't know, courageous, stupid, to tell the Petrotrin workers that they would not get the refinery should they come into office. That's a statement that they were making. And we had a difficulty with that. Because here you have the union expending its resources to achieve these assets, and you are saying that we will not get it. And that we cannot, to some extent, we cannot operate that. I think that is what they were saying. They were dead wrong. Because the people who were involved in, the people who were involved in the consortium, you know, there's this myopic thinking right now held by, it's a kind of a third world banana republic kind of thinking that unless you see the white man or the foreigner, you feel that you can't do business. Once it's local, nobody want to hear you.
Yes,
you know, nobody want to hear you. You have the best plan, but because it's you saying it, nobody want to hear. They will bring in the so-called expert who don't know anything. He take your plan and he tell them, and they say, yes, that's the best plan in the world. You understand?
Exactly.
You know why? Because we are not emancipated. We are still bound by mental chains and so on. We are still on the plantation. Many of them still on the plantation. Dr. Rowley, still on the plantation. Yeah? Yeah, he's still on the plantation. He's just what they consider to be the one of those who were allowed to come in and sit and sup with Massa and so on for a short time.
But PJ, may I ask you a question? You're trying to deal with the government, right? And if you're making those type of statements, doesn't it kind of make it a little more difficult for you guys to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, well, no, but you see,
he calling him out. I agree with him.
DNA,
him out.
Our DNA, comrade, it's not one where because we want something, we will do something for that. Right is right. The people of Trinidad and Tobago deserve a better share of the pie, economic pie, and whether or not I call out Dr. Rowley, the people still deserve that. And therefore it is on the basis of the merit of the people, what they deserve, we think that they should get that. And if we feel that Dr. Rowley, which is why he shut down Petrotrin, because if we feel that he's going the wrong way, it is our duty to tell him that, hey, listen, Dr. Rowley, this is not what Dr. Williams wanted for Trinidad and Tobago. This is not what even Patrick Manning wanted for Trinidad. You know, in all of those prime ministers, none of them would have interrupted our road towards economic and energy independence by shutting down the refinery. So here you have in this region, refineries through their own economic circumstance can't operate. Problems in Venezuela and so on, problems in Curacao and so on with their refinery. Yours operating, but you shut it down. I mean, the Caribbean leaders, they were aghast, they were amazed to see that happened. All because this fella get vexed because the OWTU say, you're not running the country good. And they shut down the refinery, send home all the workers and so on. And that story continues.
So PG,
I would
Gary, hold on a minute. Let me go for a quick station identification, and then we will come right back. PG, we're gonna go for a quick station identification. We need to stay right there, don't go nowhere. Of course, we have with us no other than President General. That's PG Ancel Roget from the OWTU, and he's having a fantabulous discussion with us tonight here in the village. Stick and stay, don't go nowhere. So we're going to go for a short station identification, and we'll be right back after this message. In the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Stick and stay.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
And of course, we are back with you. It's In the Village with the Dark Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. And we have with us in the village tonight, a gentleman that most people, in Trinidad and Tobago know no other than PG, Ancel Roget from the OWTU. So, PG, there's a question in the chat, right? It says, Mr. Roget, do you think the closing of Petrotrin had something to do with AMV?
Well, he said that earlier, but go ahead.
Well, court closed and they like to sue. Yeah, they like to sue. They like to go get tape here and there. But I think if the person who asked that question, which question is likened to a number of questions that people are asking, and they're expressing a particular opinion, if they believe that, I can't fault them for believing that. If they believe that, because if you destroy the evidence, you have no case. If you send away the witness, you have no case. And that is the sum total of what occurred. In fact, I can tell you that there were reports very early on the closure of Petrotrin back in 2018. We received reports that their particular department, the repository for all of those records and so on, that it was broken into, and those reports which had to do with how much oil was received and how much oil was received and claimed for, and all of those things, and that was taken out. So we have a strong opinion as to why that happened. But whether or not we believe it or the people believe it, yes or no, the consequence of it is that the taxpayers now have to fork out at a time in a pandemic to pay for the misdeeds of the government.
So PG, how come that didn't hit the news that this place was broken into and these documents were stolen?
We said it in our camp. We said it in our campaign. You remember? And let me just remind everybody and the world. We waged a campaign, you know. We were against the closure of the refinery, not just for the preservation of the jobs of those who work there, but because of the hardship. We knew that the whole southern community, from Pointe-à-Pierre to St. Margaret's to all of Sanford, to Ikakas, to Faizabad, to the whole of the southern community. And so we know that they were going to be impacted adversely like that. So that the bacon shack person, the person who prepares lunch and so on, the paylow, and who the caterers and so on, nowadays they are not workers, the doubles vendor and so on, the people who provide services, not just in the southern part of the country, you know, throughout Trinidad and Tobago, for one kind or another, provided services that Petrotrin was a sort of an economic hub around which the economy revolved and so on. But they couldn't see that. What they saw is that if they shut it down, they will get rid of the union. But this union was here long before the PNM and will be here long after the PNM have departed.
Gary, you wanted to say something? Okay, so Mr. Roget, there's another question here. Mr. Roget, did you know that the government was closing down Petrotrin? And if you did, why didn't you have a press conference or was given a promise to be able to buy it?
No, let's go back on the steps. We were in a process. That's a union. We were in a process with the board of directors, some new board of directors they had, headed by a Syrian man, that's Dr. Rowley's friend. He put him as the chairman of the board, a fellow by the name of Wilfred Espionner. Okay. We were in a process for which we found an agreement to reorganize the company, because for quite a while we were saying that the company ought to be restructured and to be able to position itself better, more malleable to treat with the vagaries of oil prices and so on, the shocks and rise and fall of oil prices internationally, and to be able to deal with the fall in crude production and so on, and to increase refinery throughput. So we agreed. We signed an agreement to that effect. Yeah? And that was in April of 2018. I'm telling you, an agreement that was registered in the courts. And the union don't sign agreements lightly like that. We agree that, listen, what might very well happen is that we have, over the next 2 years, some 1,500 workers departing through retirement and so on. And therefore, here's an opportunity for us to trim down the numbers of workers and so on to allow the company to breed, expand, and then we'll come back and employ more again. So all of those things we agreed to. Dr. Rowley got vexed because here comes Labor Day 2018. Labor Day 2018 We criticized Dr. Rowley's handling of the economy. We criticized his handling of crime and so on. We criticized them for rising food prices, and we said to him that you promised that you would do a better job than those who you took over from. And today the people are reeling under pressure. Added to that, we were chastising him for his friend who was the same SPNA, the chairman of Petrotrin, signing this agreement and not beginning to discuss with us to effect it. So you have April, then you had May, you had June, and so on. Dr. Rowley, we did an evaluation of his performance publicly. Dr. Rowley got vexed. That's the only reason why this refinery shut down. Now, Dr. Rowley is the type of person that if you get him vexed, he will mash up the place, and you only have to hear what Patrick said about that. Yeah? A raging bull. So he got vexed and he said, well, I got to show them. They feel they wanted to tell me what to do. I'll show them. So he now comes up with a proposal to close the refinery, come out and say he's coming out of the refinery business. We were against that. We took them to court based on the agreement. We won the matter in the court based on the agreement. But the court did not go far enough to stop them. And that is a fact. We raised a national campaign all over the country, calling on them not to close the refinery because of the problems the country will experience. Not only the workers, but all of these people who, some 40,000 persons who were affected indirectly because of the spin-off effect in the southern community and throughout Trinidad and Tobago. We had a march from Pointe-à-Pied to Port of Spain. I myself, for the first time, walk from Pointe-à-Pied 3 days to Port of Spain, where some 30,000 persons called on the government not to shut down the refinery. They still went ahead and shut down the refinery. Now, we did what we had to do. After it was shut down now, and he made the offer, then we accepted the offer. You see the sequence of events. We were against, and we are still saying that it was wrong to do that, especially now because we are vindicated. Yeah. So that's it. That's the sequence of events, and then that is why we said that they're trying to set us up by telling us we should buy the refinery. No. You should not shut it down, because we could not agree when he made this first offer. We were still in the process of taking them to court and so on. So we could not agree to buy something that we said shouldn't shut down. When they finally shut it down, then is where we put in the proposal and we said, well, listen, we are going to seriously acquire these assets and so on. And because those international, you see, the value of input coming from workers, sometimes the myopicness of a government don't see that, But those persons outside saw that here you have a group of workers. If we work with them and the union, we could get this thing started. And there's where our proposal found resonance and so on. And there's where we came up with the best proposal. Mind you, let's go back. 77 bidders. Internationally, 76 bid for those assets. Dr. Rowley said that the assets no good. He says it's like an old car, you put it out by the road for scrap, and who want to buy it, somebody want to come and take it, they bring a record and take it. You feel that he's so cheeky and he have all the stocks. But when he said that, like how people are hearing me now internationally they heard him. So the offer that they made on the refinery was one for scraps. We knew the value of it, and we put in a very valuable offer of some 700 million. Nobody else came close to that. Nobody. And you would see now at the end of it, just ask them when they give it away, on whether it's lease or whatever, how much those people end up paying for it. You would see. So the union, who knows the value, willing to take over the assets, had its international financiers backing them to pay 700 million. I'm saying that to make this point, that we would have had by far the best offer, and they could not have, in the face of that best offer, blanket. But what they saw at that time was the local government election. And they say, This is our opportunity. And you would capture Colin saying that the union came with the best proposal. You think the UNC could do that? We will move them from all kind of statements and so on. But they are very deceitful and deceptive people. This is the worst PNM you have ever experienced, if you ever experienced PNM, comrade.
So PG, are we going to see the OWTU in the street protesting after the end of the SOE?
Glad you asked that, because it might have slipped me to address that very important question. The reason why we are under a state of emergency right now, comrade, is just that they want to prevent that. There was some other little group that said that they wanted to end, but the only formidable group that came out and marched and said, sometimes you have to remind people because we are forgetful people, and if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it and end up in problems. And so we are a country, we happy-go-lucky sometimes, and we forget our history. The only group of persons that marched and demanded that they end that state of emergency is the trade union movement. Another group would have, they came out, but I'm talking about a cross-section of trade unions representing the interests I described earlier in this interview here. And so we call on them to end the state of emergency, because the state of emergency is only being used to oppress the press and to curtail the activities of those who have a dissenting voice. They are crushing dissent.
Exactly. I think it's been.
What they don't want is people to criticize them. Any progressive trade leader or government will want to hear what the trade unions have. They may not agree, and we don't expect them to agree, but engage us meaningfully in discussion. We join with them in a tripartite arrangement called National Tripartite Advisory Council. And you know what they were using that for? Just for PR to say, well, we have the unions in a tripartite arrangement. While at the same time, we said, well, listen, if you have labor, business, and government at the table here, let us discuss this issue of you sending home workers. Let's discuss if you want to shut down Petrotrin. No discussion at all. So while we are at the table discussing with them, licks for our members, workers going home by the thousands and so on, state enterprises shutting down, restructuring unilaterally. We said, no, we can't take that. We live in that process. We live in that sham process and so on. And therefore, we are saying that the only reason why they're extending that state of emergency is to curtail and to crush dissent, the dissenting voices and so on, so that the man in the street, those who want to say something about this government cannot come out and protest the backsides against what they are doing. And that is why we are waiting. That is why we said that when we had an activity called Freedom Day, the 1st of September, because we called on the opposition not to support the government to extend the state of emergency. They went ahead because they have the constitutional majority to do it, and they extended it. But comrades, it must come to an end. And when it comes to an end, well, if you're asking answers, we will be in the streets. We will be in the streets.
I want to make a suggestion, and I've been making a suggestion to some of the activists, is to protest from where you are, from your own property in the front of your yard. Don't stop the protesting. Protest from wherever you are. Everybody don't have to be in Port-au-Prince. Protest in the whole country one day, but protest from wherever you are. Put up a sign, stand outside there, post it and publish it, but raise your voice. Don't let the government suppress your voice. You know, I'm sure I'm calling on you for the kind of influence you have in the country and you've seen what's happening, to mobilize against them. SOE.
Agreed, 100%. We had some of that.
They can't lock up 100,000 a week. They can't lock up 100,000 a week, and you have the behind you.
That's the point. And you know where the location we coming from, comrades. I think that is really, we are protesting because we want more pay. Let's just get that right. I mean, yes, that too, people, trade unions protest, right, fine. But that's not what the issue is now. We are protesting for our very survival and for our claiming a space in this land, for the ordinary man to have a say and to own something. That is what we're protesting for, because if they go ahead with this property tax and people can't pay it, they're coming for your property. Exactly. So my grandfather leave a little piece of property for me, him but telling me that if I don't fill out some form, he will charge me some $5,000. If I don't pay, he will come for my property. This is a Taliban government we have here.
But PG, don't you think it's time that Trinidad and Tobago have some type of property tax? And let me say this, I hear the opposition party saying ask the tax. But when they were in power, they read in Parliament that they were going to impose taxes. And when they came out of power in 2015, the PNM just continued the same policy with respect, instead of repealing the tax, right? So to me, I'm living here in the United States of America, right? Gary's also living here in the United States of America.
Yeah.
There has to be some form of property tax in Trinidad and Tobago.
Some
And I
form,
think,
but not the way they're going to answer.
but Gary, I think the people of Trinidad and Tobago have to come to the realization at some point in time, there's going to have to be property tax in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Can I say something?
Go ahead,
Sure.
Yes. And we agree with that 100%. But there are a number of things wrong with that. First of all, we said that, yes, you must pay some form of property tax. But property tax must not be used to raise revenue for government spending, to go to the exchequer and so on. The property tax that you pay, it is well spent to ensure that you are, as a citizen, your services are provided and so on. So that's one aspect of it. What they do with the tax, we need to ensure that it reaches the benefit and provides services for the people who pay it. We must pay. Now, the other thing is the formula that they have derived for that property tax. All of those things have to be reviewed, because you can't tell me that I build my property here. Over the years, sending my children to school and so on, the family get a little bigger and so on. I increase, I put a little extra room and an extra bathroom and so on, for which I would have paid tax for those material and so on. And now you come in and you tell me that, hey, listen, your property increased value, rental value. I am not now renting, but they attach me to a rental value for which I must pay tax on. In addition, I build my thing here. Somebody come and build a big house next to me, and this whole area, my rental value go up. I ain't do one thing, but my rental value gone up, and I have to pay more property tax. So you find something wrong with all of what we're talking about? The man who fight and he go to the credit union, he put on this little extra room and so on. He now is faced with a formula that moves him from paying to, X amount increased by 1,000%. The other thing we say, comrade, before I finish this, the other thing we say is that, listen, this is the wrong time to impose that type of hardship on the people. It is as though these people believe that if you're not working, you're going to get more money. I don't know how they conceive that in their mind. So many thousands, over 100,000 persons lost their job, but now is the time. You have to send your children to school, but now is the time. And they're making them believe, here's the deception, that this is a tax for UNC people, for rich people. Rich people deserve to make sure that them rich people pay. But if you increase my tax, so I now have to pay 5,000 a year, 3,000 a year, 2,000 a year, when I was not paying that amount of money. But now in a hardship time, there is plenty strain for me who not working. So we are saying, here's what, let's deal it in phase. Deal with the industrial. They're not paying what they're supposed to pay. Then come to the commercial and so on, the businesses. And then come to the residents. Then you come to the residents, and all because it's the timing of it. Like, if these people, they may care, boy, they will talk to you.
The timing.
And they're really making people believe that, hey, this is a UNC thing, But when you get the paper in your store and so, when you get to the thing, if the UNC had to pay, or big rich people had to pay, they could afford that. Yes, I have no problem with that. But why are you increasing me exponentially? I have a daughter to send to school and so on. I had to pay money in the university. And all of these things, comrade, the people who will be, and this is what people have to understand, man, the people will be hardest hit with that. Are we jumping up and winding down for pigtail, for PNM and a sort of foolishness? The people will be the hardest hit with that is ordinary black people, Black people, And that is what we get tied up with. So I cannot support Dr. Rowley and them and the foolishness, because my people's lot is not being improved by that. So I can't jump up and say, hey, property tax, we have to pay. Yes, we have to pay. We accept that. But let's sit down and in a situation like now and determine how will we share this burden of adjustment? All of that is born on the backs of, like, it's like, this man I care about. Back in the plantation, the man who they used to give to hit the whip? Massa couldn't hit a whip as hard as one of us, They used to look for one of the blackest and the strongest one of us to hit us, because he had to convince Massa that he is for Massa. So he will put pressure on us.
Prove the loyalty.
When he cracked that whip, Massa love him. Yeah.
PG, listen to this, right? Listen to this. We here and people in Trinidad like to compare themselves, or even the government, or even any government talks about things that's going on outside of all different other countries, right? But when time comes for them to come to the people here in the diaspora who have the experience to help them in certain situations, they ignore us. All right, we are ignored. We don't even exist, right? Because I hear you with regarding the property tax, and it makes sense that you have it in phases where you can have the commercial properties, other people, and give people a sense of some time where I'm going to tell you, listen, at this point in time, a year from now, so to speak, right, we're going to implement property taxes on residences, as an example. And we can start with, for example, you can start with $5 million properties as an example, right? And work your way down. I mean, I understand that. It's not like I don't understand that. All I was saying is that at some time, we have to understand, I'm saying we because I'm a Trinbago and I'm a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, we have to understand that there's going to be property tax in the country. Now, let me ask you a next question, right? This is something...
Hold on a second.
Right.
But what we have here, like what Mr. Roget was saying, the businesses, what we call, like you have certain businesses in the area, certain industry in your town, it's called raidables, right?
Right.
This
Commercial
have to
properties.
defer the cost, and the way we have it structured here is that the local property tax pays for the school, pays for the police, pays for fixing the road, and the way that things are done, first of all, local government reform is absolutely needed in the country. The money has to go to the municipal government in your city, in your town, to operate under that budget. They have it going in a consolidated fund according to what we were told.
That's right. That's right.
No,
They could do
Gary,
what they want with it and give who friend they want the contract.
But Gary, we have discussed that here, and I said absolutely that money should not be going in a consolidated fund. That money should be going, but we have to actually find the mechanics. How we are actually going to get that accomplished.
Now, hold on a second. Remember, Dr. Rowley come in your house. I always like to bring that back, and he wants the input. Dr. Rowley come in Ansel's house, and he wants we input over here, right? And when he win government, he don't want to hear nothing from we.
That's right.
Okay?
That's the man you described that one.
Yeah. So, I mean, when he want to win election, he's your best friend. Here we partner. We won. We Trinidad. We won, brother. He put on a dhoti and he gone in south and sit down with the Indians there, right? But in the meantime, he gone in the north and turned the African people against the Indians and said the Indians have everything and all they had nothing, right? Yeah. Right? And blame the Indians for working hard and selling doubles and planting rice and sugarcane and some work in the industry with you, right? But what I'm saying to you is, I was telling Ansem that from the time this man took government from 2015, he started destroying our economy from day one. All right, and I'm watching. I'm asking you to watch Stuart Young with where he might be creating a platform to bring some Chinese investor to take over the oil refinery business in the country. And I'm saying if we make that move, I say we raise hell, and I stand in solidarity with you with that.
Now, PG, you had indicated, right? And I'm paraphrasing here now. You said people are not going to enjoy any relief at the grocery. Prices are going to continue to soar even after the reduction in VAT on certain food items, right? However, PG, I want to say this. If I'm a poor black disadvantaged family from Chumaka Claventel, I use Chumaka Claventel because I grew up in Chumaka Claventel. I spent the first 18 years of my life in Chumaka Claventel, right? Yeah. And I am able to go to the grocery store. And I have to go to the grocery store twice a week or once every 2 weeks. And I'm able to save at $20 or $25, right? Doesn't that $20 or $25 afford me to do a little other things that I wouldn't be able to do when now these items have been removed from VAT have been removed from these items?
Yeah. No, I think you're glad. If you're provoking me, I'm glad, because that's exactly what I want to explain. Now, there's a trade-off. The trade-off for that, first of all, those prices are not going to stay, because you're in a liberalized market and economy. The merchant will set their prices. They will set their prices on the basis of the importation, because to import now is even more.
Transportation costs.
Transportation and a number of factors impact that. The least being transportation. And transportation is driven by the increase in price of fuel. Yeah? So that's already you have the maxis and the taxis and the transportation hubs saying they increase it already. That happened already. Already you have the transportation, the goods and services increase it. Already you have people having to pay more forex to clear goods and to bring in goods and so on, because the economy that we're running is still dependent on importing food and so on, and not promoting agriculture and local food production and so on. So we import most of our food. So when this businessman faced with all of that, you think that little no pain, no VAT and those things, you feel he wouldn't absorb that and go beyond that? It's going to happen. They already said that they're going to increase it. So that is one. But when you juxtapose that now with the what you as a citizen facing, here's where a little $20, if you get that, where $20 go. Increase water rate, increase electricity rate and its knock-on effect. Increase, you saw what they did last week. They moved a couple of weeks ago, moved to increase the cost of LPG and so on. So the LPG is a basic input for what? Bacon shack, doubles, food, and so on. So all of those things will increase if I had to pay more for the gas to cook those things. All right, and of course I did talk about the increase in the fuel and so on for vehicles. Property tax, yeah? And all of those things, when you look at that, $20, if you save that on any good, would save your comrade. The merchant, he's going to send up his price. The cost of living is going to spiral here out of control. We are in a liberalized market and so on. They're free to set their prices. They will, and it's as though like all of them just team up because they are around the same price and so on. What we need here is to be able to the same land that they're going to charge me property tax on is to my grandfather and your grandfather, or they should make provision for us to get ownership of land easier so that we can produce our own food here in this country. You know what we put a proposal before the government. We said, listen, when Caroni was closed down, one of the things that they would have done is give land to the Caroni workers. Kudos. The Petrotrin has some 76,000 acres of land in this country. You close down you displace some 5,000 plus workers. What it is to take off 5,000, not even 5,000 acres, because everybody wouldn't get an acre, but set aside, let's say 5,000 or less acres of land to distribute to the Petrotrin workers. So that will encourage growing your food and so on, the kitchen garden and all of those things. We put that proposal before them. During election time, they take that as their own proposal. They say, well, they're going to give land. You know what they're doing now? A few workers in some lottery, some lottery arrangement, spin some lottery and say, you have won your opportunity to get Petrotrin land as an ex-Petrotrin worker. That is not, I tell you, we have a problem here.
So PG, before you go, last quick question before you go, right? Gary, because we have the next guest waiting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. PG, why are you calling for the removal of the Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi? And in addition, are you also calling for the removal of the president?
Well, I haven't reached the president yet. Let's still talk about the Attorney General.
You mean you reached the president yet?
Yeah, I reached the president yet. We talk about the Attorney General. You know, one thing people may not like me because of my consistency. And when I say me, I'm talking about my union. So that if it's convenient today, what I say today, I fall in your garden and it favor you, the flowers grow, you love me. So PNM people that set up, the PNM people hugged me up when I was against the former Attorney General. all of the ills of the former UNC government. Dr. Rowley benefited from when they put him out of parliament. We stood up against that. We said that is wrong. Yeah? When the stopping issue in Tobago and all of the problems that he had, we said, no, that is wrong. Give the man an opportunity. We, the trade union movement, would have been on the streets, checking the history, more than anybody else throughout the period when Kamala was in office, against all of the corruption, all of the issues that were taking place. Dr. Rowley benefited from that. Now, it cannot be that because you come into office and you're doing the same thing that I can't criticize you. I will be deceitful and deceptive, or even more than you, if I encourage that. So what was wrong yesterday has to be wrong today. Wrong and right cannot be determined by who in office. And therefore, the former Attorney General, Ram Logan, and Ram Logan, we would have criticized the Range Rovers and all of that issue. You could imagine if he had a vehicle that, as Attorney General, custodian of the law and so on, that did not transfer for what? For 4 years, you sold a vehicle in the transfer. The PNM would have been burning downtown, calling for his removal. And therefore, we're saying that, you see, that and another issue that we'll talk about at another time, and many other issues. We talk about the Attorney General. We feel that it is right to call for his removal. If you had the former Attorney General, children on the range shooting and so on, and all of this, children on the range gate, vehicular transfer gate, witness tampering gate. If you had all of those things happening, the PNM would have been burning down the town. You yourself, as Wall Street, would have been on the radio calling for the removal of the Attorney General. Yeah, and let's be real. Yeah, good for one, good for all. And people, they wouldn't like that I am saying that now because it is PNM. But I'm saying that it is not PNM country. It's not UNC country. It is the people of Trinidad and Tobago country. And any government in office have to work for the people. And if they're not working for the people, indeed, they're working against the people have to move them. And there's where I'm located.
So PG,
I would like to see you mobilize, really.
Yes.
So PG, we want to thank you so very kindly. But we always ask all our guests here, if you had to send a message to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, what would be your message to the Prime Minister?
That you need to listen to the people. You need to be all-inclusive, less arrogant and be all-inclusive, to come down from that high horse and so on. And let's discuss. The former PNM Prime Minister, Patrick Manning, would have said, I don't agree with you, but let's talk. But Rowley is not talking. It's his way or the highway, and that way is taking the country into no man's land. So it's continue food in prices for the people, increased water rate, electricity rate, property tax is selling out of state enterprises, no jobs. This is what we face in Trinidad and Tobago. And the most salient and potent message I want to, and I wish I could carry that to him, is to stop the self-hate. Stop hating your own people. It's a kind of self-hate that is taking place. And if you ever had any dealings with the man and you check it again, it's like that man feel that he reach, and nobody else should reach, because he's up where the airs were, where the 1% is near. And everybody else is a set of little minions and nobodies and so on. The country don't even have a commissioner of police. Imagine that. If that was happening under the UNC, I would have, I'm sure I would hear on the radio between 10 and 12 in the morning. This is Wall Street. Wall Street calling. You know what you all are experiencing here in Trinidad and Tobago is like no other. And so I'm listening and paying attention to you all. So I'm hear that. Yeah?
Mr. Roget, I would definitely like to have you back as soon as possible. We need to arrange that.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, brother. For our country.
Yeah, man.
We have to move the lot of who? Not the 1%. Ordinary Indians and Africans. We have to move them from where they are and have them rise and be equals. That is where I want. I want to be able to send my daughter and my children to university and not frightened that they will take my property away from me with property tax and so on, which in a pandemic, boy. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share this with you.
PG, Ancel Roget, thank you so very kindly,
Yeah,
man. We appreciate it. Take
Yeah,
care.
good.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. Ooh. Yeah, that was fantabulous, man. I could say it is a pleasure that we have, Mr. Roger decide to come and join us in the village.
My friend. It was an
Yeah.
education.
Well, we can't waste no time. We have our next guest sitting in the background waiting and listening patiently. No stranger to WZY 95.9 FM. MP Rudranath Indarsingh. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Good and good night to you. And of course, we are not doing too well in terms of where we are in Trinidad and Tobago. We are without a commissioner of police. Crime is rampant in terms of since we have not had a substantive commissioner of police. A police service commission has collapsed, and of course there is a assault on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. In fact, this government has declared war on the constitution of the country, on the democracy of the country, and today that was clearly played out in the parliament of the country. And of course, we have over 130,000 persons who have lost their jobs prior to COVID. And since the pandemic has entrenched itself from a health point of view, over 1,600 persons would have died as a result of COVID-19 in Trinidad and Tobago. I think statistically, we had 218 new cases today, an additional 8 persons would have died. Persons are finding very difficult to put food on the table. And in fact, if my memory serves me right, and I'm recollecting what was in the budget presentation and so on, that there are impending rate increases to water rate, electricity. The government has made it clear, come hell or high water, they are going to implement the property tax. That is why they want to impose the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority. Job losses that have come at Lake Asphalt, at Wassa, at TNTech, the port of Port of Spain, and so on. So we are in for a rough ride. Nothing has really offered itself for the well-being of citizens in this country for the last 6+ years under the government of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley.
But Mr. Indarsingh, I have to tell you, as an outsider looking in, I am not happy with what I see from both sides, right? I find that, there doesn't seem to be agreement on anything, nothing. And I think,
Go ahead.
I want to think. I'm saying I'm an outsider looking in, right? And I'm looking at seeing what's happening. It's just a lot of, man, it's like you're going to a circus, man, and you're only seeing all different type of thing going on in the circus, man. That's how I'm looking at it from an outsider. Me personally.
You are entitled to your opinion, but I am saying that if you have a government that is leading a country and that is supposed to provide a sense of leadership, a sense of direction to ensure that things go right and adhere to the laws, adhere to the constitutional framework of the country. And it is not happening. It is the responsibility of the opposition to call out the government. And this is why we have taken a position as it relates to what has been occurring in Trinidad and Tobago for about the last 4 to 5 weeks. And we must look at it in the context of, and a commissioner of police term came to an end. A commissioner of police, in terms of appointment, has to come through the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission is established by Section 122 of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. And we have to ask ourselves the question, why has the Police Service Commission collapsed? Why has everyone who was proposed by and was functioning, was proposed by Her Excellency, came to the Parliament in the interest of persons offering themselves for national service and so on? I participated along with the leader of the opposition and other colleagues when in respective notifications came. And at no point in time did members of the opposition attempted to vilify or castigate or cast aspersion on the members of this commission. They offered themselves, and we supported. We may have raised a particular issue as it relates to the former chairperson, Ms. Blitzy Prasad, who prior to her appointment on the Police Service Commission was an appointee, a board member at the Shagaramas Development Authority. And to become a board member in the context of our parliamentary and also our governmental framework, names of persons who serve on boards in Trinidad and Tobago or state enterprise, whether it is fully owned state enterprise, partially and so on, or statutory authority, they are proposed really by the governing party and the governing party of the Prime Minister, the cabinet. So it is a political appointment. And this is why we had questioned how can Ms. Prasad, who was already tainted as being part of the political directorate being proposed by the Prime Minister and supported by the cabinet, and it is a known fact that the cabinet is part and parcel and extension of the People's National Movement. So coming back to the issue is that the opposition supported the functioning of the Police Service Commission, and it is the very critical issue of when Mr. Griffith's appointment or tenure came to an end as the Commissioner of Police. It is what transpired, and very important office holders were in the frame, and nobody today has answered the question, why did the commissioners of the Police Service Commission resign? In addition to that, the Ms. Blitzy Prasad, the former chairperson, they, with the other commissioners, they came up with a merit list and so on, and they submitted it to the office of the president. And it is not speculation, but the issue is right. And we have been told that a high office holder went to the president's office, and whatever discussions took place, the list was withdrawn. And at that point in time, based on how you read the Constitution, when a merit list is compiled by the Police Service Commission and it is transmitted to the Her Excellency or whoever holds the office of the President, that office holder has an ultimate responsibility. There's no discretion here. You get that? You immediately prepare the appropriate correspondence, and that is transmitted on to the Speaker of the House of Representatives. On what grounds was this list, this merit list, was it withdrawn? And who is the high office holder that supposedly interfered with the transmission of this list and pulled it back? And if you read the Constitution of this country, there is no discretion. So from where we sit, it is our responsibility as the opposition to voice our opinion within the framework of our country from the point of view of the operation of the parliament and outside of the parliament. And within recent times, the leader of the opposition and other speakers within the framework of the party, within the confines of our virtual space and so on, has raised the very critical issues. And in addition to that, the leader of the opposition has written to Her Excellency. The leader of the opposition has written to the Speaker of the House of Representatives and so on. And we have a constitutional responsibility under our parliamentary system to call out the government, because we must never forget. I think that the country has forgotten that the Prime Minister admitted that he lost confidence in the Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, and about a year ago, and he wrote the chairman of the Police Service Commission. And I think that if the Prime Minister lost confidence in the Commissioner of Police, it was the responsibility of the Prime Minister to ensure that, based on what transpired and so on, that the merit list through the Police Service Commission chair and members and Her Excellency should have made sure that that merit list came to the Parliament of the country, because it is the Parliament that, through the notifications of the Commissioner of the Police Service Commission, it is the Parliament that sanctioned the appointment of the Commissioner of Police. And if indeed the Prime Minister found the Commissioner of Police to be wanting, why did he not come to the Parliament and lay a case when the merit list and so on was being debated? In addition to that, did the Prime Minister lodge a formal complaint to the Police Complaints Authority about the actions of the Commissioner of Police and so on? These are the things that must be answered, and the Parliament is the place for the Prime Minister to come and make his complaint. And of course, the country, whatever the merits and the demerits. And this is why we have insisted that what had happened or what occurred in the Parliament of the country today, where the Speaker unilaterally instituted guidelines as it relates to the meeting of the House of Representatives and meeting of the Senate, both houses of Parliament today, and directed that there should be no debate on this Section 36 motion that was filed on the 18th of October 2021 under the hand of the Clerk of the House. And that in itself, we feel, was a continued assault on the democracy of this country. And that is why we place on the records of the Parliament today that we supported the motion under protest, and we were not in support of the no debate guidelines which the Speaker unilaterally imposed on members today.
I saw a few things happen there today, Mr. Indarsingh. This is Gary Marby. How are you? Thank you for taking the time to join us. I saw the mics being shut off. I saw that the Speaker would not allow the opposition leader to complete her speech. And it seems that they were trying to suppress the voice of the opposition from the beginning of the meeting. You know,
and that is a very, very important observation, because in a democracy, I don't know who is in control of the mics from an audio point of view. I know that there's a control room and so on. And I would hate to think that instructions were given that when opposition members attempted to rise to make their respective points and so on, that their mics were muted. And I found that to be undemocratic. It is high-handed. It reeks of what we would call, you only see this behavioral pattern as it relates to the functioning of a parliament in undemocratic countries and where you have dictatorships and so on. And I think that from where I sit, that a speaker based on our Westminster system is supposed to promote the interests of the government, but also she has a fundamental, whoever that is. So let us take out the personality of Bridget, and I said, George, whoever is the office holder of the Speaker of the House has the responsibility of protecting the interests of the minority. So the government may have its way based on the numbers, based on the majority, but at the end of the day, protect the interests of the minority. And the way the interests of the minority is protected is to allow what we call freedom of speech and allow debate. The word parliament is promoting what we call freedom of speech and the ability of one to put forward their position in relation to the case that they have to make.
I have one more question. In the merit list, when it's sent to the President House, shouldn't that document be signed for when it gets there? Officially, when an official document comes to the President House, shouldn't it be signed for?
I am sure. I do not know the inner workings of the
So this is what I would like to know.
House.
But now the president is saying the president is saying that he doesn't have the list, so.
I have been in the trade union. I was the president of all Trinidad Union. I was the minister in the Ministry of Works and Transport, local government, labor, finance and economy under Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. And even at my home, the way we conduct business, my wife or my children, if correspondence comes, official correspondence, they have to sign for it and so on. Whoever are the messengers, they have to take back via their logbook who signs for, who has received and so on. I cast no aspersions on the office of the president, but I'm sure that Her Excellency has a high degree of administrative efficiency within the operations of our office and the operation of the office of the president. So, and these are the things that we are hoping or that would have come out in the debate. And the big question has to be asked, why did the speaker not facilitate a debate? The government, based on how we have said that the numbers voted in support or against the motion probably would have prevailed. But at least the issues in terms of what has not been answered up till today from would have come out, and we hope that Trinidad and Tobago, in terms of the citizens and in keeping with the independence of institutions and so on, we would have been in a clearer position today. And I think that the government was hiding. I do not know what they hid under the robes of the speaker, if I should use that phrase. And it was really a dark day. I think that in the darkest day that I have witnessed in the functioning of the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago.
So, Mr. Indarsingh, I heard the opposition leader talk about the woman that the PNM put in the front, right? And, we have to watch that very carefully. But I also heard Senator David Nackett, right, with his comments with respect to the president. But I didn't hear the opposition leader come out and not condemn Senator David Nackett, but at least, put him in a little corner and tell him, I'm Senator Nackett, that's not the way you will go out in public, and describe our president and Mr. Indarsingh. And I think those type of behavior on both sides of the coin are why we are where we are today in Trinidad and Tobago. That type of disrespect is rampant, not just in the PNM, but also with respect to some people in the PNM and some people in the UNC. And we as a country, we have to change that type of disrespect for women. And I think that's very important.
While you're right, I think Dr. Rowley has created that environment in the country, to really tell you the truth. For instance, he came on this
Gary, all right. He has created the atmosphere. Take that, right? Yes. So you are telling me that what you are saying that an eye for an eye is okay.
No. What I'm saying to you,
to me, an eye for an eye only make the whole world blind. And I brought up just to compare.
Yeah. When I'm saying human behavior is very influential, we never saw Dr. Eric Williams acted like that. We had a certain standard of conduct in the country when Dr. Eric was prime minister. Certain things wasn't said in the public domain outright like what we see now. But the leader of the country is conducting himself like this. So I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but it's something is of concern. Go ahead.
I like to hear what Mr. Indarsingh has to say.
We all have a responsibility to ensure that not only women are held with a sense of respect and how we treat women. We have a responsibility to ensure that we treat all men, women, children, office holders, and so on with a sense of respect. And I'm sure that if Senator Nakid would have violated any of the standing orders and so on, like what we heard recently from the Attorney General. The Attorney General stood up in the Parliament during the budget debate and indicated that the former Prime Minister and leader of the opposition, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, had rented out, and he said knowingly rented out properties belonging to members of her family to the state. I immediately stood on my legs and I stood up on standing order 48-6, indicating that the Attorney General was imputing improper motives on the part of the leader of the opposition. He did not withdraw the remarks and so on. And my colleague, the member for Puch East, petitioned the Parliament through a motion that, in keeping with the standing orders and so on, that so call upon the Attorney General to withdraw, because if he had not, we made a case for him misleading the Parliament, and it should say it in Rotterdam, lying to the Parliament, the office of the Attorney General. And when the Attorney General realized that it was water, mud, and flour, he came very sheepishly in the Parliament under what we would call personal explanation and apologized to Mrs. Persad-Bissessar. And I am saying that if an Attorney General lies in such a brazen and blatant manner, using the cloak of parliamentary privilege, then we cannot trust anything that any member of this government says in terms of their conduct. And as I said, this issue is one of a high constitutional importance. It has to do with perceived political interference and subversion of the Constitution with the Police Service Commission, which is supposed to be independent. And in addition to that, the absence of a debate presupposes that members had come to vote with a predetermined positions and so on. And we were of the opinion that on that Section 36 being placed before the Parliament with guidelines which were unilaterally instituted by the Speaker of the House, which would have stifled the debate and so on. And as I said, it was the guidelines which was laid down goes against the grain of the Constitution of the country. And more importantly, too, I think, which has to be addressed, whether Independent Senator Persad should be allowed to participate or should have been allowed to participate in the Section 36 proceedings today in the Parliament. Senator Sipasad is the sister of the disgraced chairperson of the Police Service Commission, and that is on public record. And Bliss Sipasad played a critical role in this constitutional fiasco, as she was responsible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mr. Indarsingh, we want you to stick and stay, don't go nowhere. It's in the village with the dark triplets and WZY 95.9 FM. Of course, we come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. And we have with us Mr. Indarsingh. MP Indarsingh is from the MP for Couva, right? Is that correct?
Couva South.
Couva South. The MP for Couva South. Right. Couva South is with us. We're going to go for a quick station identification, and we'll be right back after this message. Stick and stay, don't go nowhere. It's in the village of the dark triplets on WZY 95.9.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the dark triplets on WZY 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. We have with us in the village here with us tonight, no other than Mr. Rudranath Indarsingh. Mr. Indarsingh, I was listening to the opposition leader today, right? And she talked about a UNC October Revolution. What is this? 1 minute. 95.9 FM. What is this October Revolution that the opposition leader of the UNC is talking about?
The leader of the opposition has made it very clear that in the month of October and beyond the month of October, we will use all legal means and act within the law of Trinidad and Tobago to ensure that we bring to the people of this country the issues which are affecting the functioning of a proper Trinidad and Tobago. Whether it is from a constitutional framework, whether, as we have seen with the Police Service Commission, the Office of the Commissioner of Police and so on, and what transpired out there, whether it is the programs and policies that have been rolled out by this government, which is not impacting on improving the quality of life and standard of living and well-being of the citizens of this country, the infrastructural collapse of roads and bridges. And Trinidad and Tobago now is a pothole country. And in fact, in the constituency of Couva South, I don't know if anybody, whether you, Ancel or Gary, is familiar with there's a road called the Camden Road in Couva. It is now, that road has the distinction of, it has the mother of all potholes in Trinidad and Tobago. At the moment, we have a responsibility to call out the government. And there's a shortage of basic drugs in the healthcare system of the country. We have a scenario now where the education of our children is in a state of limbo, because firstly, it was vaccinated children in school. Now there's unvaccinated children. There will be a mixing of vaccinated and unvaccinated children. The Delta cases are rising in Trinidad and Tobago. The deaths are still occurring from a COVID point of view, in spite of the fact that the Minister and the Prime Minister of Health and the Prime Minister continues to boast to the country that the vaccination rate is up. And I want to warn the government to look at what is happening in Britain at the moment. Cases are on the rise again. Deaths are on the rise again. And there are statistics and indicators where unvaccinated children and vaccinated children are mixing. They are going back into homes or going into their respective homes, and the more mature persons in households are contracting COVID and the answer coming from a mortality point of view and so on. And so we have a right to fulfill our role and responsibility, and we will politically prosecute our case via the means that exist within the framework of the laws of the country and in keeping with the guidelines from a public health point of view.
No, Mr. Indarsingh, I just want to follow up on that question, right, with respect to the October Revolution. Do you know how many revolutionary public activities you have planned for the remaining 10 days in October?
Well, as I said, we have a responsibility to continue to call out the government, and I'm sure with the passage of time, where we've set our footprints throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, it will be revealed.
So, Mr. Indarsingh, just following up, because this is something new that happened today. So, there haven't been any sort of these activities past. These are all new things going to be happening since what happened today. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
All I could assure you that it will be lawful, it will be democratic, it will not be one of undermining Trinidad and Tobago, and it would be in keeping with highlighting the incompetence, the lack of leadership that we have witnessed over the last 6 years under the government of Prime Minister Dr. T. Crowley. And if it means that we have to continue to point out the assault on the independent and democratic institutions, the violation of the constitution of the country, we will do so based on the actions of this dictatorship government led by Dr. Roget.
I would like to go back to the issue with the Police Service Commission, and I would like to suggest that the Miss Blissy Prasad be brought into the Parliament to answer questions when you are dealing with this issue going forward, and whoever is associated, maybe the other 3 members of the Police Service Commission.
But can they do that? Can that be done? Can they do that? I'm asking, I don't know. Mr. Indarsingh, can they do that?
I mean, there's a committee on a parliamentary committee that deals with national security matters, and I think it was supposed to be chaired by an independent senator and so on, but the government has reneged on this. They have violated the democracy of the country, where they have insisted that the Minister of National Security, well, in this case, the substantive holder now the Minister Gerald Hine, he chairs this parliamentary committee and so on. And I don't think that there's anything in law that can be used to commandeer Ms. C. Prasad. She's now ordinary citizen C. Prasad. So having resigned from the office of the Police Service Commission, I do not know if any of the commissioners would want to come and indicate what the matters that led to their resignation and so on.
You see,
but it is a very important point that you are raising, Gary, and the point that has to be hammered home, should not be missed, is whether the Prime Minister orchestrated this conspiracy against the Commissioner of Police, because you have to go back and recollect that he said that he wrote the chairman of the Police Service Commission, the resigned chairman, Blissy Prasad, about 1 year ago, indicating that he had lost confidence in the Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, and so on.
Okay, but he wrote regarding his loss of confidence. But what I'm saying to you, based on what transpired, the population needs explanation and getting to the truth of what happened to the merit list and who was on that merit list.
And this is why the leader of the opposition, we wrote the Speaker of the House indicating to the Speaker of the House about the war on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. She even raised a very critical issue on whether the Speaker should have disqualified herself from presiding over the Section 36 sitting of the joint houses of Parliament. And she went on to indicate that the Speaker, who would have served as the Attorney General in advising the then PNM government, the Attorney General had the responsibility for drafting of the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioner of Police acting appointments selection process number 2 order 2009, herein after call the 2009 order and so on. And the invalidity of the 2009 order had exacerbated the current constitutional crisis and has left the country without an acting commissioner of police and a collapsed police service commission and so on. And in that regard, Mrs. Prasad Biseswar, the leader of the opposition, as I said, raised that very critical issue of whether the Speaker should have recused herself the issue on the assault on the democracy of our country, and whether the independent Senator C. Prasad should have been allowed to participate in the proceedings today, which had to do with Section 36. And of course, what you saw in terms of the muting of the mics and the way that the government conducted themselves and so on, in relation to when the Prime Minister held a press conference. And I think that if the debate should have been allowed to take place, the Prime Minister should have displayed leadership and strength and come out and lay a case in this debate to say who was the high public official who journeyed, whether on whose instructions, to the office of the president. Why did you lose confidence in Commissioner Gary Griffith and so on? These are the things that would have come out in the debate supposedly, and I think that the government they hid under the robes of the Speaker of the House of Representatives. And this is a government that committed itself. Go back and look at their manifesto. Look at the pages of their manifesto in 2015, when Dr. Rowley committed his government. He said if elected into office, he will ensure that there is accountability, transparency, good governance, and he committed himself to ensuring the independence of our institutions under the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. And certainly the actions of the government has violated the independence of the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago from the point of view of the Police Service Commission and the independence of the Police Service Commission. And up till today, this involves very important office holders in relation to the office of the President, the office of the Prime Minister, the office of the Chairperson of the Police Service Commission, and even it has an overlap in relation to the office of the Attorney General and so on. And in addition to this, I would hate to think that the Prime Minister instructed any member of his cabinet to go and meet with Her Excellency as it relates to this entire imbroglio that we are currently confronted with.
Well, my thing is, my problem is, and I have a serious issue with the president saying there's no list and we must accept that, and that's the end of it there. It cannot be the end of it.
It cannot be the end of it.
Accountability for the list. If she did not get the list, did the list reach the office, and who signed for it, and what happened to the list? We must demand explanation.
Well, yeah, if somebody in the office of the president sent back the list the president must tell us who is that person.
Yeah, so the president has more explanation to give.
And this is why we are saying that, and the prime minister cannot continue to tell the country that he could meet the president 7 days a week, 24 hours, 24 hours a day, and he will not divulge the discussion. The discussions is not a private conversation about the family of Dr. Rowley and the family of Her Excellency. You know, the discussions that take place supposedly between the Prime Minister and Her Excellency or the President of the country has to do with the issues governing Trinidad and Tobago. And if people are found wanting as it relates to their conduct, in this instance, we have a collapse commission. We do not have a police commission. So on. People have to know the truth. The citizens have to know the truth. Both offices, the office of the Prime Minister, in fact, all the offices in this particular scenario, the office of the President of the Republic, the office of the Prime Minister, the office of the Police Service Commission, the chairperson, the commissioners, they are all indeed funded by the taxpayers of this country from a functioning point of view. And whoever holds the responsibility at the time owes the country an explanation. This is not about private family matters that cannot be divulged to the country.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Indarsingh, what's next for the opposition party as far as this debacle is concerned? What's next? What's the next move?
Well, we have a responsibility, as I said, within the parliamentary framework of the country. And if we believe that the process as it relates to the appointment of future commissioners and so on are tainted and there's no proper governance and transparency and accountability and so on, we will have to look at how we function within the parliamentary framework of the country. Of course, the leader of the opposition and the opposition we would want to fulfill our constitutional remit under the constitution and the parliamentary framework of the country, in ensuring that notifications are dealt with from the office of Her Excellency and if there's a functioning police service commission. But we have to also ensure that it is done with the highest degree of decency, integrity, transparency, and openness. And if it is not, then certainly as a responsible opposition, we will have a responsibility to make that known inside and outside of the parliament of this country. And in addition to that, Mrs. Passadis and members of the opposition will continue our work in terms of dealing with the issues that are affecting Trinidad and Tobago, and also dealing with the issues that affect our constituents within the geography of the opposition of Trinidad and Tobago.
Now, Mr. Indarsingh, I want to ask a question, right? It appears that this situation going to Parliament was basically a foregone conclusion that it was going to go in the manner that it went. I mean, it went, it's 47-24, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. That this was actually a foregone conclusion. And to take the country through this time, saying this pandemic, you know, was sort of a waste of precious time, so to speak, because the conclusion was already foregone. Nothing different was going to happen from this going to Parliament.
I listened to your conclusion from where you stand, but also, as I said, this has to do with the breach of our constitution from the point of view of Section 122. and the Police Service Commission and the operations of the Police Service Commission. This has to do with political interference or alleged political interference, whether was by the Prime Minister or some high official within the government of Trinidad and Tobago. This has to do with the appointment of a commissioner of police. This has to do with the office of the president. As I said, it has implications for the office of the Attorney General and so on. And certainly, if indeed a full-fledged debate would have been allowed to take place and issues come to the fore, the debate or the issues that would have been brought out probably could have influenced another direction in terms of how the vote would have gone, and so on. So to say that if it was a foregone conclusion, so because that the government has the majority, that the opposition must not speak in Parliament. We recently discovered that through the pressing of the government, of the opposition, and so on, and holding the government accountable, we heard that NDC squandered $700 million and an additional $200 million in another deal and so on, and transaction. We have a duty-bound responsibility, whether we have 2 members in the opposition, 19 members, to speak on all issues affecting Trinidad and Tobago. If we do not, we will be failing our duty-bound responsibility to the 309,000 people who voted for the opposition, and in addition to those persons who may not have voted for the opposition, who did not participate in the parliamentary process, and even those 322,000 persons who voted for the People's National Movement. We have a fundamental responsibility to so inform them.
You know, Mr. Indarsingh, I want to say, right, as an outsider looking in, it appears to me that, and I'm going to say this again, from both sides of the fence, when there is something someone should be reprimanded for, there's no reprimand on both sides of the fence. And that just continues to escalate in Trinidad and Tobago as far as the politics is concerned. There is no reprimands. There's no reprimands for anything. People can say
I hear you, but if I can recollect when Mrs. Prasad Bisasa was the Prime Minister, I cannot remember how many persons, it's not at my fingertips, but I know ministers of government were relieved of their respective positions. Persons were fired, some resigned, moral suasion was used by the Prime Minister and so on. So when you tell me that persons were not held accountable or reprimanded and so on, there are numerous examples where Mrs. Prasad Bisasa used her position as the Prime Minister to reprimand, and there were individuals who paid with consequences as a result of this. We have known of allegations of sexual harassment that the Ministry of Sport, we knew of a sexual harassment report that never came to the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago and so on. And I could go on and on in terms of misconduct.
But he lost his job.
Apparently, Prime Minister Rowley does not have the political will nor the leadership, or we do not know if any member of his government is holding anything over his head. So he cannot act in terms of reprimanding and pursuing disciplinary action and so on.
But the Minister of Sport lost his job, though. The Minister of Sport, as well as Marlene McDonald as well.
Oh,
so
well,
then,
okay.
That was after pressure from the opposition.
That was based on pressure from the opposition, and in fact, if I could recollect, in spite of certain indicators and so on, she continued to be appointed to positions within the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago. I think it was only after the police service allegedly found her and her associates to be wanting in terms of conduct and so on. Then she was relieved of her ministerial responsibilities. So at no point in time, did Dr. Rowley act on his own volition.
Well,
Maybe that's why Dr. Rowley lost confidence in Commissioner Griffith, because he was hoping that Commissioner Griffith would deal the other way, and it backfired on his cabinet.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I really am hoping that this issue about the appointment of a commissioner of police is properly ventilated and dealt with in a very open and transparent manner, because word on the ground is Commissioner Jacob, Deputy Commissioner Jacob, his position has come to an end, and we do not know if he wants the job or he doesn't want the job. And I hope that whoever becomes the Commissioner of Police does not end up being a puppet or a plaything of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, and whoever succumbs to political pressure or political maneuvering, and it can set the stage for a police state where the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet, I would hate to think, would unleash political instruction to the police service of Trinidad and Tobago, probably to go after opponents of the Prime Minister and the government, whether it is from a political point of view, whether it is from a trade union point of view, whether it is from a civil society point of view, or to go after people who are prepared to speak out on the shortcomings or wrongdoings of the government and so on.
I am interested in not just seeing a police commissioner appointed. I'm interested in seeing an overhaul in the police administration, because you cannot appoint a police commissioner and you have people within the administration undermining the commissioner of police. And I think we had a lot of that, and I expected that, I tried to hint that to Commissioner Griffith a little bit. So, I mean, we know we do have some rotten apples in the force that have their own agenda, and it would take a real good team to really deal with that issue. So just to change the commissioner alone is not good enough. We need some more work into it.
Well, Gary, I hold no brief for Commissioner Griffith, but Commissioner Griffith was tackling some issues as it relates to overtime, as it relates to abuse of sick leave, as the whole issue of misconduct and so on. And the jury was out, and that is why we have said and will continue to say that the Prime Minister, whatever information, I don't know what led him to say that he lost confidence in the Commissioner of Police.
I can help you with that, I can help you with that, Mr. Indarsingh.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can help you with that.
Well,
and I'm speculating, I'm going back to my old job on Wall Street, and
I don't involve myself in speculation and so on. I may arrive at a conclusion, and I will ask for evidence and so on to.
Well, I'm going to give you some evidence. I'm going to give you some evidence. Under Gary Griffith watch, when Gary Griffith became Commissioner of Police, he stated, "Judge me on the murder rate." That's a statement that came out from Gary Griffith. Judge me based on the murder rate. In August 2018, when he took over from Stephen Williams, right? At the end of that year, there was 516 murders, which was at that point in time the second highest murders in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. right? Under what's his name? I'm forgetting the guy name. Under the other guy, his name is gonna come back to me. It was 550. That's the
King
highest murder
William.
rate ever. No, not Williams. Filbert. Under
Uh-huh.
Filbert, 550 murders in the country is the highest murder rate in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. In 2019, there was 538 murders in Trinidad, the second highest murder rate in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. History of Trinidad and Tobago. And this was Gary Griffith getting a full year to correct what he said you should be judged on. He said it, right? To be judged on the murder rate. And then come 2020, which it was 394. That was because of the pandemic and other things that happened. You know, we don't know what's going to happen in 2021, but it seemed like it might be 300 and something. So based on what Mr. Griffith said, his statement, judge me on the murder rate. If you go to the Olympics 3 times, the 3 highest murder rates in Trinidad and Tobago, 2 of them was under former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith. That to me is not success.
Well, and you have to understand the circumstances and are surrounding those murder rates. And I think it's more so with him trying during the pandemic to try to get the Commissioner of Police to arrest people in the house. It became an issue when the Prime Minister tried to get the Commissioner to break the law. So that has something to do with it too.
But as I said, the Prime Minister, the person who Rudranath Indarsingh, Gary and Ancel, wrote a letter to the Police Service Commission. And that is why these things should have come out probably in a full-fledged debate on Section 36 and so on. And in addition to that, a performance appraisal is, in terms of Commissioner Griffith, is again conducted by the Police Service Commission and so on. And the order was amended to change that response. Well, previously it was a firm who would have been recruited by the Police Service Commission, would have done the necessary assessments and come up with a merit list, and then the merit list would have been submitted on to the Office of the President. In this instant, the order was amended so that it would no longer need a firm, a recruitment firm or agency, but that responsibility now came to the members of the Police Service Commission and so on. So, I mean, I don't have all the indicators as it relates to the parameters of the performance appraisal of the former Commissioner of Police. I do not have anything as it relates to how they came with a merit list in terms of who they interviewed and so on. And we must never forget, I think we forget that when Prime Minister Rowley supported the appointment of then Commissioner Griffith and so on, if we could recollect, the number one person in that particular notification that came to the Parliament of the country was one Deputy Commissioner in person of Dulachan, and there were others on the merit list that the government struck down and so on.
Well, we know for a fact that even back then, Gary Griffith was number 4 on the list, and we only learned that here in the village from Attorney Martin Joel, because he was a member of the Public Service Commission. So they had to go way down the list to get to Gary Griffith. He wasn't the first choice, the second choice, or the third choice. So that should just show you something, you know, if he's not the top choice. But at the end of the day, the Prime Minister had a decision that he had to make, you know, and he decided to give Gary Griffith the nod, even though he knew that. And I don't think there was politics involved, because Gary Griffith was formerly the Minister of National Security under the People's Partnership.
Well, so, maybe he was hoping he could have used them against the UNC. You don't know. But
no. No, I don't think so.
I will say that
I
that
don't
is
think so.
something that you have to ask Prime Minister Rowley. And Prime Minister Rowley is a politician, first and foremost, and he may have had agendas that he wanted. I cannot say that he may have agendas that he would have wanted uh, Mr. Griffith to pursue. Is it now that Commissioner Griffith did not do his political bidding, and that is why he lost confidence in him? I really cannot say. But I would have loved to read the letter that was written by the Prime Minister to the Police Service Commission chairperson.
Well, that
We're
should be
gonna
public
come to light
information.
soon.
That should be at least parliamentary information, which that should be brought to the parliament. You know, it should be able to be
And
subpoenaed.
that is why we have consistently maintained that today was a very dark hour in terms of probably the darkest hour in our nation's history since political independence. And that is why we continue to ask the question why we supported motion, but we protested against the guidelines which did not facilitate a debate that was unilaterally instituted upon the meeting that took place today. And we continue to ask the question, why did the government duck and run? Why did the government hide from a debate? The government had the majority of the numbers from in terms of the government's bench. We do not know, based on how the debate would have unfolded and so on, what would have been the position of the independent senators, having heard, having listened to what came out in the debate, if it was allowed to take place.
So, Mr. Indarsingh,
Yes.
you know,
I have something. Go ahead. I have something after you finish there.
okay, yeah, Mr. Indarsingh, you know, it's always great. No, Gary, you go ahead. Gary, you go ahead. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I want to point out that I think Mr. Indarsingh must have said something where, you know, Gary Griffith was picking up the slack for a lot of the other, his police force picking up the slack for the military and Coast Guard failure on the border and a lot of stuff like that also that we are taking into consideration.
Well, law enforcement. I mean, if we take into law enforcement, is not just the police service of Trinidad and Tobago. It is customs and excise. It is the Coast Guard. It is immigration. It is the defense force. It is also private securities. Our borders, our surveillance capacity, our intelligence capacity, and so on. And I could go on and on. I have always maintained that if you are to make a dent on crime, it will not be made only from a policing point of view. It has to do with law enforcement and a coming together of the agencies under national security. And in addition to that, we have to do research and development. We have to do our own sense of analysis. Why people turn to crime, you have to do social investigation. When people are unemployed, when a country cannot see its way from the point of view of job creation and diversification of the economy, foreign direct investment, and so on, unfortunately, there's a social fallout. And part of that social fallout, we cannot bury our heads in the sand, is crime. And as I said, so when you look at the fallout on crime and crime detection or crime reduction and so on, it has to be looked at from a law enforcement point of view with all the agencies, but also it has an economic dimension, it has a management of the economy, it has a governance component, and in terms of providing leadership at the level of the governance of the country. And the governance at this juncture lies with the cabinet and the government of Dr. Keith Rowley.
I think I would like to suggest, when the United States, President Bush had formed the Homeland Security after they fall down with 9/11 here in the lack of correspondence with various agencies. And one of the things I've been trying to propose, we need some kind of a central command under the national security portfolio where we have briefings with the police commissioner and the defense force and coast guard, and various security agencies, and plan and strategize together. This is something I would like to see, and I don't know if Trinidad and Tobago has anything in that formula.
Well, there's a National Security Council of which the Prime Minister is the head, and he brings under the ambit of the National Security Council the arms of law enforcement and so on under his purview. And I'm sure that they briefed the Prime Minister, they briefed the Minister of National Security, and also the Attorney General, and who are other members of, not every member of the cabinet is a member of the National Security Council, but I'm sure they briefed the Prime Minister what is happening in the country from a crime point of view and a law enforcement point of view. And I'm sure they address the issues of border patrol, whether it is land, sea, and our ports, the deficiencies, and so on. And very clearly, we see that guns continue to come into Trinidad and Tobago. The issue of illegal migration continues in the country and so on, and there are implications. The government admitted that there are members of Venezuelan gangs operating in the country, and so on. Crimes have been committed not only by Venezuelan nationals, but rather non-nationals of Trinidad and Tobago who have made their way into the country legally, sometimes not legally, but illegally. Sometimes people come in undetected. They use all different mechanisms, fake passports, whatever, and so on. And this is where we continue to say customs and excise and immigration. Everybody has to step up to the plate. And the Minister of National Security, whoever that person is, too, must understand the dimension of law enforcement, and in giving a sense of comfort to citizens who want to be able to engage in freedom of movement and freedom of association based on the ability of the government to deal with security, and giving that sense of hope in terms of where we are in the country.
I don't see the deployment taking place in order to really deal with the issue, because we've constantly seen things that were supposed to be dealt with, and you don't see any enforcement improvement.
Well, I mean, if we are going in that direction, I'm sure we could sit here and talk about the deficiencies, the failures of this government, what they committed to in their manifesto, what they have failed to deliver, and so on. And we could go on and on in terms of border security, patrol of our coastline. We have this raging debate about whether fuel and lubricants are purchased for the Coast Guard, why the Coast Guard boats are laid up, how many police vehicles are down, what is the level of manpower shortage in the police service of the country, what is the enabling environment, what is the status of our surveillance equipment and radars and so on in the country. We have a lot we can talk on.
So, Mr. Indarsingh, I want to, whenever you come into the village, we always ask all our guests, if you had to send a message to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, what would be your message to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago?
My message to the Prime Minister is that the Prime Minister and his government has failed the people of Trinidad and Tobago, although they have gotten a second mandate. Certainly, they have failed miserably in their first year. We are in a state of crisis in this country in virtually every sector, in economic, industrial relations, health, infrastructure, transparency, and open governance that has collapsed. Our independent institutions are under attack, and our health sector, our education sector has collapsed. Social services is a shadow of itself. And from where I sit, the Prime Minister has displayed no leadership. So I think that if they cannot do the job, they must pack up. People might tell me that it is too early, but certainly we are failing at all levels. So if you cannot deal with the job, if you cannot provide proper leadership, if you cannot offer hope, if you cannot offer an improvement in the quality of life and standard of living of your citizens, do the honorable thing and hand over the governance of Trinidad and Tobago via the electoral process in the country.
Mr. Indarsingh, we want to always thank you for giving us time here in the village with the Dark Triplets on WZYE 95.9. It's always a pleasure to have you in the village.
Same here. It is always a pleasure to continue to interact with you all. And I remain at your disposal in the future.
Hey, Mr. Indarsingh, you know, some of the UNC people in the chat wasn't going to bring you back. You know, I don't know why they say something like that. We just bring back everybody.
Thank you very much for taking the time. So.
Yeah.
The same here. I can live with you, though.
All right. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
Have a pleasant night to you all and your listening audience.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Yeah, bye-bye. Bye. So, Gary.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, Gary. Let me deal with some of these people here in the chat for a little bit. Let me just deal with them for a little bit. You know, I just had to leave them. You know, I doesn't want to take them on, you know, Gary.
No. I mean, listen to me. You know, listen to me. We are Chinese. We know how to deal with it.
We have Flash. It looked like he's a 10-watt Flash. He said Wall Street in America, they don't condone these kind of corruption. He knows that very well. What corruption you talking about, Flash? Hey, Ulrich, welcome, boy. We see you. My dog. I see you. Oh, Ellis Island says, name Wall Street only know about is Stephen Williams. No, Ellis Island. I know about James Filbert. I know about Trevor Paul. I know about Dwayne Gibbs. I know about James Filbert. I know about Stephen Williams. That is the only people I know about. The rest, I know about Randolph Burroughs. Yeah, I know about Randolph Burroughs. I know no other one. Is there any others? Gary, did I miss somebody?
There might have been. I think there was a guy under the UNC at one point. I don't remember his name. An Indian guy.
No, that's Stephen Williams, man.
No, under Pandey.
That is James Filbert and Trevor Paul. Hollowfield says, only we taking calls. 973-868-1444. 973-868-1444. That's the WhatsApp call. That's the WhatsApp line. Let me put this up here.
Let's hear you people. Come on.
973-868-1444.
Be the first man to call. All right, where you at? Call in, brother.
1444. Nah, Oleg do get a line up in Chumakak. The mobile do work in Chumakak. Hollowfield asks, does Wall Street ever heard of one who went by the name Randolph Burroughs? What do you mean? I know Randolph Burroughs very well. Randolph Burroughs used to frequent Chumakak quite often. Must know him. I'm going to go back and see how far back this thing go. So Hollowfield, Flash, tell it to Wall Street. What Flash go tell to Wall Street? Please. Flash is just a 10-watt bulb. Oh God. Flash. Let me see. Lana said, anybody help me buy tickets, bus tickets to go nowhere? Lana, where you going? All right, Nutscake. I ain't gonna read that one. Wall Street spelled backwards. I ain't gonna read that one, Nutscake. Yeah, Little Ron Hona says Klim is milk spelled backwards. People, at least Ron you could spell by. I hear you come last in the spelling bee contest, Ron. That was somebody telling me. Oh God. Ellis Island says PNM won't even give Wall Street a job to coach a primary school track and field team. So what are you defending? So why are you defending? You ain't defending nothing. Me wanna work. I go come to Trinidad, get work as a coach in a primary school. Boy, look.
But you're gonna leave US green dollars to go for what?
To go work in a primary school. Boy, Ellis, boy, don't let me cuss you tonight, eh? What's wrong with you? What? Nah, Darren Prasad, man. That ain't nice.
Well, you know, Trini people like to throw things at you. Well, we've been dealing with that, so we know.
Yes, Hollowfield says Alsam has a way of thinking. Michael Jordan wasn't number one in the draft. What do you mean? He was number one. Nutskick say Alsam just sleep in a Balize mattress. What way? I'd ask my wife if that mattress is a Balize, yes? Oh, Ron DMC say what? Little Ron Hona says Alsam is a what? Wait. No. Ellis Island. By the way, I ain't see Queen tonight, you know. I see Queen, I ain't see Rose. Ellis Island, you talking saying Wall Street is like the best bone in Camona? Well, I never had nothing. As a matter of fact, Takesha said we should get to Takesha. Camona. Albert Montano says, Ansem, do you know anyone who could start a job at their best? Yeah, I know plenty people start a job at their best and they get better. Plenty people. Come on, man. What is that one? Shanti, welcome. Well, let's say hello to Shanti. I think there's Shanti first time in the village. Shanti, say hello to Shanti. Gary, you remember Flash was here before? Flash.
No, I really don't because a lot of times I'm not paying attention to the.
Okay. All say hello to Flash. I don't know. I ain't sure Flash was here before, you know. Ellis Island, Flash was here before. Little Ron Horner, Flash was here. My dog, CV. Hey, CV. Where was boy? Been seeing a little bit, you know. CV been seeing a little bit. Darren Prasad. What? Lana asks the question. Ansem, do you think murder rates will drop now that Gigi is gone as commissioner of police? Lana, if I really didn't know and I look at my crystal ball, I gotta answer that question, but I really and truly don't know. I really can't say. Well, it dropped because in 2020 it was 396 and we had a pandemic and the country was closed. 396 murders, right? And under Stephen Williams in 2011, we had 354. 2012,
you had a Minister of National Security, Griffith, and a government that supported the police force in everything that they needed.
Say that again, Gary.
We had Griffith we had a national security team that provided the necessary support for the police force and the other security agencies.
Wait. Is this correct? I don't know if this is correct. I just seen some breaking news on my phone here.
What is that? Do I bring it?
I don't want to spread false news.
Well, let's say it's you ask a question and then you know how it is do it. Ask a question.
Yes.
Is this true?
So yeah, folks. Fact or fiction? Abu Bakr has passed. Fact or fiction? Has Abu Bakr passed? Fact or fiction? I'm gonna put it in the chat.
In fact, you should reach out to his son after the show and maybe find out.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him. Yeah. Fact or fiction? I heard Abu Bakr has passed. I don't know how true it is, but fact or fiction, folks. Because I know I don't like to spread rumors. Little Ron Horner says Wall Street is only trying to take the blame of the P&M for all their failures. Little Ron Horner, you know, sometimes I just fed up going on this soapbox, I'm fed up going on this soapbox, Little Ron Horner. Oh God.
Hey,
I must stop.
forget that for a second. You see Aisha was bad talking to you last night, right?
On Evian show?
Yeah, after you left.
Yeah. I listen to she.
Yeah, we gotta invite you in the house here.
Yeah. And so, Ellis, what did I give out that was uninformed? Boy, my dog where you going, boy? Hey, where breadstick? I see breadstick tonight, I see my dog, I see Nuts Cake, Shanty, I see you. Wall Street don't know run one thing. I see Ellis, he ain't getting no good comment again tonight at all, boy. Darren Prasad. Only we have
Come
some
on, guys. We opened the door for you to call in. Nobody's calling in. What's up with
we have
that?
some let me see, we have some video. Yeah. Just got next one here. The Imam Abu Bakr died 2 days after he celebrated his 80th birthday on October the 19th. Folks, we have breaking news. Abu Bakr has died.
Serious? You gotta find out, man. We gotta find out that's true.
Yeah. Look at next. Look, CNC3 just reported it.
Oh, sure.
Abu Bakr dies. Leader of the Jamaat al-Muslim, Imam Yassim Abu Bakr, died at the hospital after collapsing at home. He was 80. What, boy? Okay. So that's breaking news, folks. Breaking news. Abu Bakr has passed. Condolences to him and his family.
Yeah.
Because again about phone message here. Yeah. Yeah, when I get off the phone, I go, when we go off here, we go talk to him. Okay, Takisha says son just put it up on Instagram. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Ellis, boy, I have on a suit, boy. What's wrong with you? You must stand up. You must stand up for you. Ellis, watch. You see? You see that? Ellis, watch that. It's a suit, boy. What's wrong with you? It's a suit. I know you like my suit, Ellis, but I know you like my suit. Oh, God. Ellis, you like my suit. Ellis like this suit. Boy, we have some videos to play. Boy. With all the bacchanal and confusion going on in Trinidad today. I had to say, boy, and I said it to Mr. Indarsingh, right?
Left side, signature building, go to the lobby. All the way down, left side.
What going on in Trinidad is like a circus. It's a circus. At least whenever I start a job, I just start at my best, and work my way up. I start at my best and work my way up. Yeah, boy. No, Imam Abu Bakr, boy. Condolences to him and his family, man. Run DMC. Yeah. All right, let me see what we have here in the thing, yeah. All right, let's play Mrs. Kamla Prasad Besessa today. Now, when we come back, we go play that one. Let's go for a quick station identification. When we come back, we're going to listen to the opposition leader, right? And we're going to listen to some other things we see going on in Trinidad and Tobago today. Stick and stay, don't go nowhere. It's In the Village with the Dark Triplets and WZY 95.9.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's In the Village with the Dark Triplets and WZY 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 9 p.m. Albert Montano, when I was in Trinidad, I don't remember Tony May, but I remember Eustace Bernard very, very well. Commissioner Carr, I don't remember Carr, and I don't remember Beeson. They was a little bit before my time. But my interaction with Eustace Bernard is that his son, Eustace Bernard, God rest his soul, his son was a half miler, the same event that I ran. And one year I went back to Trinidad to run in the trials. That was to make either a Pan American Games team or a Central American and Caribbean team. And he was at Georgia Tech at the time. And I think I had just graduated from Seton Hall University. And we had to go home to run the trials. And Eustace Bernard, Jules Bernard. Jules Bernard. I guess his middle name was Eustace. All right. So Jules Bernard was the president of the National Amateur Athletic Association. And I was told that he told his son, don't come back home to run in the 800, because if you come back home, of course, Wall Street go, you wouldn't like the end result. So he didn't run. I won the race in 1:49 flat, 1 minute and 49 seconds flat. The fastest of any Trinidadian. The fastest of any Trinidadian anywhere in the world that year, right? And they were just going to take 1/2 miler to, it's either the Pan American Games or the Central American and Caribbean Games. One of those games, I don't remember. However, they did not pick me. They picked Jules Bernard's son, Carlisle Bernard, to go and run the 800 because they say he was also going to run the 4x4 100-meter relay team, right? And he didn't come. And then I had reporters calling me, asking me, how come they didn't select me to make the team? Because I didn't know. And I told them simply, I said, well, listen, go and ask the commissioner, go and ask the president of the Amateur Athletic Association. That was the entry is, and that's my dealings with, deceased Jules Bernard. All right. So here it is. Here is Mrs. Kamala Prasad today.
When it is that the highest officers in the land act in concert and conspiracy, some would say, in this manner, then we are fracturing our constitution and endangering our very fragile young democracy.
Mrs. Prasad criticized the way in which today's events occurred in the Parliament, but noted that her side felt it was necessary in order to uncover the truth.
I have been in Parliament for over 27 years now, and I have never seen it fit to bring such emotion of what people call impeachment of the president. I have never done it before. We have not done it. And it brings me no joy, and I want to make this point, This is not about woman to woman, because they're somewhat trying to make it out as an issue as women versus women. This is an issue of high constitutional importance about the officers of the highest officers in the land.
The opposition leader also hinted at another motion to be filed in the Parliament, this time against the Prime Minister. But Mrs. Prasad did not give details on what that motion would entail.
The opposition will stand and remain in defense of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, in defense of their rights. We will continue to call for transparency and accountability. And today, in October, we announced the beginning of an October Revolution in Trinidad and Tobago to defend the rights of citizens and the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mrs. Prasad assured that the opposition will do all within its power to ensure that persons are held accountable and justice is served. Ayana Carter for TTT News.
That is the revolution I was talking about, right? I didn't just make it up. People just think it doesn't. We don't make up things here in the village. Now let's listen to the Prime Minister.
There's one word to describe what happened today, and it's disgraceful. But I'm not surprised.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said the motion brought by opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisasa was void of any evidence of wrongdoing on the part of President Paula May Weeks in the matter involving the Police Service Commission. While the opposition accused the Speaker of preventing them from debating the motion to remove the President in the House on Thursday, Dr. Rowley said only the motion, which is written and presented in the Parliament, can be read in the House.
So why does the opposition believe that their incompetent leader could have written a one-page motion with nothing to support their allegation and their surmising and their suppositions, and then called together the Electoral College? And then when you realize you've made a fool of yourself talking about debate when there is no provision for a debate.
Dr. Rowley said the serious motion brought by the opposition could have had the head of state removed from office tonight.
It was no motion for a debate on a fishing expedition and we had a good time and then we go home and say, boy, you talk well. It was to remove the president from office today had the vote gone in their favor.
According to Section 36 of the Constitution, a motion to remove the president must be investigated by a tribunal, must have full particulars of the person's removal, and must be adopted by no less than 2/3 of all members assembled together. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
See, all I get a synopsis of the both sides, what people saying on both sides. So all you have, you could listen to both sides and then decide that, people really don't decide what side they would take because they already decided already. Yeah. Lada, you hear that? A revolution. All in here, a lot of you miss that. Only miss the revolution part. But that's why I asked Mr. Indarsingh, what is this revolution all about? When are you going to start the revolution? Is the revolution starting today and for the rest of the month? What is the future for this revolution? Hey, my dog, thanks, boy. My dog say, I'm in a nice licky suit and thing. Yeah, my dog, you're inside, boy. What tax? You're inside big time. And guys, not only that, right? But you also know that they have already appointed people through the Public Service Commission.
2 more nominees have been confirmed by the Office of the President for appointment to the Police Service Commission. A statement from President's House on Wednesday said President Paula May Weeks issued a notification in respect of Head of Wealth Management of First Line Securities Limited, Maxine King, and Academic Head of the Caribbean Institute for Security and Public Safety, Ian Kevin Ramdani, as nominees for appointment to the PSC. Last week, notifications were delivered to the Clerk of the House of Representatives, indicating that retired Justice of Appeal Judith Jones and Marlene Atong were also nominated for appointment.
Gary, you there? I want to play this next video, and it's respect to the Delta variant, because many of you in Trinidad and Tobago at one point in time.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll join you back in a few minutes. Just give me about 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. Many of you in Trinidad and Tobago was blaming exiled and stranded citizens for the spread of COVID-19 in Trinidad, and there has been never any proof of that happening. Now, the Delta variant is rampant in Trinidad and Tobago.
The number of confirmed cases of the Delta variant in Trinidad and Tobago has climbed to 86. The Ministry of Health on Wednesday advised of 10 new cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant. 9 of the 10 persons had no travel history. Meanwhile, there have been 8 additional
All you hear that? Only listen carefully. I want to play that back again. Listen to it.
The number of confirmed cases of the Delta variant in Trinidad and Tobago has climbed to 86. The Ministry of Health on Wednesday advised of 10 new cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant. 9 of the 10 persons had no travel history. Meanwhile, there have been 8 additional COVID deaths in the past 24 hours, taking the COVID-related death toll to 1,621. There are currently 4,292 total active positive cases of COVID-19. as 218 new positive COVID cases were recorded from samples taken between October 16th to 19th.
All you see, and little Ron Horner, who have to sit in his corner. That's why I took a stand here on WZY 95.9 FM for exile and stranded citizens against the party that I support. No one else did it. No one else. Zero. Nada. Not. I stood up. I wonder when your party do something wrong if you go stand up too. I have to wait and see, I'm taking notes, What is that? Ron, you pushing back on November the 26th, 10 a.m., Queens Park, Savannah. Ron, you going? Nah, they're going to extend the SOE though. Oh, God. They will extend the SOE run, boy. Forget that. Olio. Watch how he does getting for a prime minister now, man. Okay. The second hand suit keeps sending for your big Wall Street. Nah. I don't take second hand suit. All right, Olio. So students going back to school now. So you haven't vaccinated or unvaccinated. So I guess no safe zone in school.
From October 25th, all students from Forms 4 to 6 will be required to return to physical classes. Minister of Education Dr. Nian Gatsby-Dolly said the decision is part of government's phased approach to get students to school in a safe manner. Kimberly D'Souza tells us more.
All students, regardless of their vaccination status, will be required to return to school next Monday, October 25th. Education Minister Dr. Nian Gatsby-Dolly said schools should place special focus on practicals and school-based assessments when students return.
Schools are not required to provide online classes or synchronous sessions for students of Forms 4 to 6 or equivalent in lieu of student attendance at physical classes. All students are expected to attend school physically.
As part of its phased approach to reopening schools for physical classes, Dr. Gatsby-Dolly said Forms 1 to 3 will return early next year.
Students of Forms 1 to 3 or equivalent are required to remain engaged in remote learning. Unless otherwise advised, these students will return to the physical classroom in January 2022, which is term 2 of academic year 2021-22.
Principals may request permission from the Ministry of Education for students from Forms 1 to 3 to return to school ahead of its reopening for orientation sessions. The Education Minister said globally there has been a decrease in student performance, which can be attributed to students' absence from physical school. She shared some data on the recently released CXC results for this year when compared to 2020.
In CXC examinations, the results of which were released on October 15, 2021, 7% less students obtained 5 CSEC passes or more in 2021 than in 2020, and 1.3% less acceptable grades were achieved in CAPE 2021.
Meanwhile, Early Childhood Care and Education, or ECCE, primary and tertiary level students will continue remote learning until further notice. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
Hey, CV, I want to know from you, right? I want to know from you. What the government stealing, CV?
One moment.
CV, what the government stealing? I want to know. What? What the government stealing, Stevie? Oh, good. That's Siri, boy. Siri talking, yes? CV, can you answer me that question? Wall Street, your government too busy stealing instead of giving the Coast Guard fuel to protect the borders. What is stealing? What exactly is stealing? Help me now. Help me. Please help me. Help me. And anybody can put what is stealing too, you know. Oh, that's the Andy Williams movement, little run on, Nadia say, Ansem, that doesn't make sense because it have too much delta. What they really doing?
Oops.
Delta boy, Delta in Trinidad like nothing boy. CV, I'm waiting for your answer, you know. Little Ron Horner says, Andy Williams will be heading the pack come December the 26th, Queen's Park, Savannah, 10 a.m. Oh, what's the name of that match again? Eh? What's the name of the match? Come back or some kind of back something?
What kind of match is that? A football match?
Yeah. Oh God, I like that one, Gary. It's a football. What kind of match?
Andy Williams is that guy from that ground report.
The Pitbull from the Underground Report.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the report with Sly TK and Stand Your Ground. Yeah. Stand Your Ground, push back. Stand Your Ground. Please. Stand Your Ground, push back. What are they pushing back against? Eh? What are they pushing back against?
But I waiting to see Trinidad and Tobago people stand up, man. Look, let's imagine. I cannot still understand. They lock people, wife and children outside the country here for a year and something, and man, they stand up in the country, right? What kind of man is them, boy?
And people on them. They have
I couldn't get nobody to stand up with me.
Hey.
How they gonna lock the wife and the children? It has to be number one. Okay, I need not stand up.
Yeah, Gary, we might have Carnival 2022, you know.
Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts Randall Mitchell said the aim is to build an improved carnival while remaining true to its roots.
Earlier this year, as Carnival was cancelled, we saw different creative expressions coming out. We saw Carnival products being produced in the area of theatre. We saw the mass production. We saw Carnival productions being produced in the area of film. And we intend to build upon those things and to encourage those different Carnival products being produced.
And while a new and improved Carnival product is being proposed, he also indicated that his ministry will be looking at creating more festivals.
We see festivals as something that can create and contribute tremendous economic value to our economy. And Trinidad and Tobago, as we know and as we are a melting pot of creeds and races, a melting pot of cultures that feeds into a number of different national festivals.
Minister Mitchell said this country has prepared for the reopening of the tourism sector by developing comprehensive public health protocols.
Today I can report that both destinations, Destination Trinidad and Tobago, were awarded the Travel and Tourism Council Safety Stamp, which is an international recognition of the development and significant rollout of our comprehensive protocols. And to date, over 1,000 tourism operators have been trained, or tour operators, or transportation operators and personnel.
And with those in the entertainment sector not able to earn as they did before, he said assistance and relief grants were dispersed to those in the creative sector, totaling $25 million. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
In 2022, boy. Yeah. Nadia say answer no carnival for Trinidadians. Nah. Everyone going and die. Lord help us. Nobody look big carnival in Miami, Nadia. Big carnival. Big carnival. What? Yeah. Lana say what? Claudia carnival go have safe zones? Nah. What's that?
I just want to caution everybody, being vaccinated doesn't mean you cannot contract or spread COVID. So go out there and do your thing at your own risk.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Hey, Ellis, that's a good comment there, you know. Not the first part. Your last part. Those days should be used to thank the Creator for life. I agree with that, Ellis. Full 100. I agree with that. CV, what is CV? What is your story, CV? Yeah, Rose, you're welcome. Yeah, we try to bring information here in the village, you know.
Could you?
Say,
what kind of social distancing will be for carnival?
Lana say carnival go be safe zones too. Yeah, it has safe zones in carnival, boy. When you're going to a party, when you're going to a band, it has safe zones in the band. What I mean, you know what I mean? You must have safe zones. Yeah, Rose, you're welcome. Let me see who else we have here in the bags, boy.
So we extended the invitation for people to call in and nobody wants to call in. Oh my God.
Don't worry about that, man.
Teams are literally and figuratively warming up in Dubai as the T20 World Cup gets into full stride. The West Indies were in action today versus Afghanistan in their second warm-up encounter. Here's more from that match and a quick summary of the others. The Three Lions clashed against New Zealand in their warm-up encounter at the Tolerance Oval today. Batting first, England got to 163 for 6, led by Jason Roy's 73, with spinner Ish Sodhi grabbing 3 for 26. New Zealand tried all their might but were unable to overhaul, falling short on 150 all out. Veteran Martin Guptill top scored with a quick-fire 41, while Mark Wood picked up 4 for 23 for the English as they won their match by 13 runs. Meanwhile, South Africa got the upper hand against Pakistan in a high-scoring affair. Taking first strike, the Pakistanis had a competitive 186 for 6, with Fakhar Zaman retiring hurt on 52. Pacer Kagiso Rabada collected 3 for 28. Responding to 187 for victory, South Africa, who can be considered the silent assassins in this year's World Cup, took the game down to the wire. Led by a not-out total of 101 from Rassie van der Dussen and 46 from captain Temba Bavuma, they finished on 190 for 4, getting home in the final ball of the innings. Concluding with West Indies going under against Afghanistan in Dubai. Batting first, the Afghans totaled an imposing 189 for 5 with half-centuries from openers Hazratullah Zazai and Mohammad Shahzad. Newcomer Obed McCoy captured 2 wickets for 43 runs. In their counter, the men in maroon lost Lendl Simmons, Evan Lewis and Shimron Hetmyer for 0, 3 and 2 respectively. Roston Chase was a breath of fresh air battling for 54 not out, with Nicholas Pooran getting 35 of 26 balls. At the end of the Windies' second warm-up match, they finished on 133 for 5, falling short by 56 runs. The Caribbean men's first official match of the Super 12 bowls off on Saturday 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time. And staying with the T20 World Cup, the battle for places in the Super 12 continued with group stage action. The Netherlands met Namibia and Sri Lanka came up against Ireland. Wayne Cunningham has the results from those encounters.
Yeah, hey, JB Harper, welcome. Yeah,
I
JB
ain't see
Harper.
nobody wearing no mask, the answer.
Thanks to the,
I ain't see nobody wearing no mask in
no,
the
them
game.
don't wear no mask. What mask they wearing?
Is that a COVID out there?
Yeah, it's a COVID, but wearing no mask. Come on. Hey, Yeah, Albert Montano. We did mention Iman Abu Bakar's pass. Thanks for the information. Thanks for the information, JB Harper. I think Rose also talked about that, and Lana. The West Indies really bad, boy. Oh God. We was the best in cricket, boy. Afghanistan beating we, boy. Afghanistan of all teams, boy. People from Afghanistan want to leave the country like crazy, right? They want to leave Afghanistan, and Afghanistan beating West Indies. Boy, here's this fella, right? When you listen to this fella, he asking the question to make it make sense. Listen to this.
Tell the country what exactly did the president do that warrants the motion that on Thursday you are meeting there to get the president fired. Tell us exactly in simple English that John Public could understand.
There are two main problems in this issue that many people are conflating as the same thing. The first is the issue of the legality of how the Service Commission hires the acting commissioners, and the judge already ruled on that it was unconstitutional, and that's finished. Fine. But there's a second issue here. The problem is the matter of the list that was actually following the constitutional process and was sent from the Service Commission to the President's house, and 3 out of 4 of the former members of the Commission do not know what happened to the list from there. And according to the President, she answered that. She said the list didn't remain at her office, it was returned. So then there was no list at the President's house, so there would be no list for the President to send to the Parliament. Simple enough. And the President sought to assure the public there was no political interference in the whole process. You see, some people were worried about political interference because there was an unknown official at the President's residence somewhere around the time when the list did that vanishing act. And some people were worried that official would have had some influence on the process. So seeing how serious that question was, the President, of course, sought to clear it up and calm everyone's anxiety by not revealing who that unknown official was, and then asking a series of questions that seems to suggest that she had some information that was so important she had to give it to the Service Commission, which is kind of strange seeing as 3/4 of the Service Commission quit without seeming like they knew anything about that information. But that information was also so important that it demanded secrecy also, which I could understand the reasoning of, but it does seem very convenient.
Who is going to be accountable for that? Nobody, right? No one. Yet still, all you're not making it make sense for me. I want all you to make this make sense, please. All you make it make sense now.
Make it make sense now. It's real enough.
Dr. Rowley can do all the song and dance he want. There's some simple question that has to be answered. If the president had the list, and then you hear the list was sent back, who authorized the list to be sent back? Right?
Yeah.
Who under whose instruction? Why was the list sent back? We need answers. She can't just say, I had no list, and all they had to take that. No, that can't work.
Yeah.
That can't work. Them operating that they don't have to, I tell you, them operating from the time they hit government, they don't want to explain nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
All right? And it's the whole team, not just the Prime Minister alone.
Yeah. You know, not skate say Taliban beat we, yes. Yeah, boy, Taliban beat we. You imagine that? Taliban beat we, boy. The Taliban beat us.
We can't come together in a crisis, in such a critical situation in the country that, you know, there has to be spitting venom. The Prime Minister could have stopped this whole thing. He's in the other country. He could have stopped this whole thing a long time ago and say, listen, this is the situation, this is what we deal. We need to come together and find some kind of resolution how we can work best together for Trinidad and Tobago. You don't see that? No. It's PNM and UNC. PNM and UNC. You know?
No,
we don't.
No, Gary. You see, I'm putting this up on the screen, and you see, I was telling earlier. You see, when we take information and run with it, I'm going to read what Little Ron Horner says, right? I'm going to read it just as it is. A jackass independent senator say Indian people spending plenty money in the Wali Naga so they can pay property tax, right? You see, Ron, that is part of the problem why we in the condition that we are in today. And you know what I did, Ron? I saved the full thing from the senator, and I'm going to read it for you guys. This is why we're in the condition that we are in today. And I talk to you guys about that all the time. That's why we're in the condition, right? You see, what we tend to do, we tend to take pieces of things and run with it, right? And just cause all kind of mayhem in the country, across the board. All type of mayhem. And we have to stop that. We have to stop doing that. It doesn't help, right? I'm going to read it for you guys. Hold on, let me get it. And I think this is important. Very important. Okay, here it is, right? Hold on. All right, so this is what the person says, right? On Wednesday, the 20th of October, irate and upset Hindus across Trinidad and Tobago reached out to me to correct a wrong spoken under the guise of parliamentary privilege by Independent Senator Mrs. Hazel Thompson IE, carried in the Trinidad Guardian dated October 19, 2021. It was alleged that the lone senator had intimated that Hindus would be willing to spend money they didn't have at the Diwali Nagar but complain about paying taxes. This was indeed a serious charge against an independent senator that could not go unchecked. So I downloaded and listened to the senator's 33 minutes long contribution in the upper house no less than 3 times. While her reference to the Diwali Nagar lasted a few seconds at best, it was painful few seconds. In her contribution into debate, the senator said, listen to carefully. The senator said, the same people who played mass and went to all-inclusive fetes, and those who were shop beyond their means at the Diwali Nagar were irresponsible in their bid to avoid paying property tax. Right? So what we did, we conveniently left out the first part. In her contribution to the debate, the senator said the same people who played mass and went to all-inclusive fete, and those who were shop beyond their means at the Diwali Nagar were irresponsible in their bid to avoid property tax. Right? And you see, what we did, we just run with the one part and we leave out the other part run. We leave out the other part and we continue to do with that type of behavior, and that type of behavior is what's separating us over and over and over again. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't say anything about it. But when you send out this type of information, right, we are not helping each other. We are not helping each other. We are not. Okay? Because the first part, which put the thing into perspective, was very important. Very important. And we have to stop. We have to stop this. We really and truly have to stop. You know, we have to stop. Right? We have to stop it, man. We have to stop it. We cannot continue to go along this way. Right? I don't care if she wasn't independent, but when you take out something from a wider statement and just use that and start to circulate it, that's what divides us. Put the whole thing so people can put it in perspective. Put the whole thing out there. Let people put it in perspective. And I saw that too. I saw that, but I didn't put it out. I saw it and I said, you know what? I said that, maybe that doesn't read too good, man. But we have to put it in perspective. That's why we continue with the division. We have to stop it. If you're not sure, put fact or fiction. If you are not sure, put fact or fiction. True or untrue. Agree or disagree. Right? When we put it out as fact, that's what causes separation in us. All right, guys? We need to stop it. We really and truly need to stop it. We can't continue this way, man. Explainer said it. We cannot continue this way. You see? We can't continue this way. Right? And there was other parts too. But that part put things in perspective. Right? Oh, Albert, boy, we had to wish you happy birthday, boy. Albert Montano says, I am 76 years on Saturday, 23rd of October, long before you all. Albert, boy, we welcome you, boy. We go celebrate you, Albert. We have to celebrate you. Always send happy birthdays to Albert one time, eh? Albert will be 76 on the 23rd. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So, folks,
so we
what we want to do?
Because we'll be on.
Yeah, we go be on. Yeah.
Calling in for 5 minutes or join us for a few minutes.
yeah, we go let him join us for a few minutes. And folks, Ellis, I agree with you, You know? I agree with you. That's what we have to do, man. This is what I don't like. I don't like about their country too. All right. And that's why I took that speech and I copied it and I saved it. because we have to stop. We have to stop it, man. We have to stop it. And that's what this program is about. Listen, we can talk, we can pick sides, we can pick any side you want. Pick your side. Pick your side. All you know why you pick your side. I have no problem with the side you pick. But don't let me divide each other, man. Don't let me divide each other. All right? Don't let me do that. Don't let me do that.
Pick your side, but we want to get to the truth.
But Ellis, I didn't say negative things. I said factual things. The things I said and it had nothing to do with race. It wasn't separating nothing. I gave my opinion, and everybody can give their opinion. But that was not an opinion. That was a statement from a speech. So they conveniently pull out a separate part of the speech and post in that part. We have to stop that. We have to stop it. Eli say Wall Churchyard. Oh God! What is that? Wall Street potato can be pronounced in both ways. CV, CV, Yeah, but thank you, man. We love you. And you know what? I tell my students this in class, we keep it real in my class. And I tell them, I keep it real in my class. And guys, listen to this. This is serious. Every single semester, my class has a waiting list of at least 10 kids waiting to get in to my class. And you know why? I keep it real in my class, right? And I try to motivate the kids. I try to inspire them for a better tomorrow. My class is not just about coming and learning about global business and learning about principles of business management, or learning about organizational behavior. It's more to it than that. So all I want us, the little family we have here, before we post something, could take each other good night. Do a little research now. Do a little dig a little bit before. But if you can't dig, just put fact or fiction. Fact or fiction. Nuts cake. What nuts cake say? Judging from the past, you can't believe anything Anselm said. Like what nuts cake? Nuts cake. Nuts cake. Yeah, Ellis. Ellis on the side of love, boy. All the time. All the time. And that's what it is in the village here, Now listen, Ron, I have no problems with all of you in the clip, right? All of you the clip and all you come to all your own judgment, right? View the clip. I read exactly what she said, because the guy he watched the whole thing and he read exactly what she said, right? All right, folks. So who we gonna get for closing comments tonight, man? Hey, all right. We're gonna make it easy tonight. Nuts cake. Oh, that become a P&M spin, man. Hey, Takesha, before you go, put closing comments in the chat. Takesha, just before you go, put closing comments in the chat. But the independent senator is a P&M? I don't know that. Good night, Nadia. Hey, hey, what's that?
Anyway, I gotta say good night, guys. Thank you everyone for joining us. I gotta skip out. I gotta take a call.
All right, cool. No, but nuts cake. I read for it. I read it for you. So nuts cake and Not Skake and who, boy? And my dog. Put closing comments in the chat. Not Skake. My dog. Put closing comments in the chat. Folks, in the words of Frederick Douglass, power concedes not without a demand. It never did, it never will. Find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found out the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. That's Frederick Douglass. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall said that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. And for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. Yeah, Takesha, real energy, boy. Okay, not Skake and my dog. Put closing comments in the chat. Not Skake, you're real good enough. Now Skate say you're always jumping out with limited info, like a P&M apron. Oh, I was limited information and I just read the information for you. What? We up come? Where we up? Good night, Nadia. Good night, Lana. Takesha, good night. Takesha, Ellis say you want to chat with you. All right, I'm going to use we up closing comment. We up, I like that. Closing comment. Great principles, great ideals, knows no nationality. Marcus Garvey. Forget TT, UNC, USA, and P&M, or else you'll be always average, not great. Thank you, we up. Let me see if my dog or not Skake put any closing comments. All right, here's my dog. Yeah, Takesha, I'll give you Ellis your number. Ellis, send my text, 973-868-1444. 973-868-1444. I'll get Takesha number. My dog, at the end of each night, there's a new day. Be happy, avoid being sloppy, and keep on drinking your coffee like Nutsy. Stay alert, stay awake, stay safe, everyone. Thank you very much, my dog. All right, Nutskake, I got to go back. All right, let me go back and see. I'm looking for Nutskake closing comment. Oh, Nutskake, we have a closing comment for you? Okay, good. All right. So I read. All right, that was Nutskake closing comment. Great principles, great ideas, knows no nationality. Marcus Garvey. Good. So folks, let's go out. What are we gonna go out with tonight, boy? Let me see what I have up here. Oh yeah. Hold on, Let me see what I have up here. Hold on. No, not that one. I point the own YouTube up here, boy. Okay. Oh God! All right, here we go. We go with this one. We will go with this one. This is a great one, folks. Here we go. All right, folks. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Take care. All right, come on. There we go. Here we go.
Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people are so bad. But I know all of them will run them out. Don't know where they're talking about. They will take your black every day, and the right thing they will never say. Like our sportsmen, in rated among them, our scholars of sit and fast every day, and put us right alongside the rest. But then our mistake is the greatest one of its kind. Our sugar and oil is ready refined. So you see, friends, this is correct for woman's mind. They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they create for. About so much violence, I would swear that we fight the war. Of course, we have to live face to face. But just like any other place, the thing that I say about here is really too much for me to bear. Because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness. And in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body. No bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when I'm strangers spending a little time in this love child, every day you see it, we always have a hard time. When his time is up to start, he would say, riding hard, I'll be back to perpetual life. And if I can't come, I will send my wife. And then tell you, he really wants us to come, to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. So Trinidadian and foreigners to recall, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we keep up for one and all. To all of them we're talking, they either drunk or they hear it back. Or maybe they talk everything, it's a universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet, we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper will tell you why. No, our Silva is the best talent in the world. Like how they told us stories are told, with his great and the country soul. So, Trinidad, this lovely land of my book, small but overwhelming book. And as you know, Carnival is the greatest carnival.